It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Great moments are born from great opportunity. And that's what you have here. That's what you've earned here tonight.
Forget about the crowd. It's the size of the school. Their fancy uniforms. And remember what got you here. If you put your effort and concentration into playing to your potential, to be the best that you can be, I don't care what the scoreboard says, at the end of the game, in my book, we're going to be winners.
On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw with our fingernails for that inch because we know when we add up all those inches, that's gonna make the difference between winning and losing.
It's down to the wire with Errol Marks and Speedy Petey.
Oh, Petey!
On the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Down to the Wire. I'm your host, Errol Marks, and my co-host here at the studio of Worldwide Sports Radio Network is Mr. Speedy Petey and Steve, a.k.a. The Plumber. As you guys know, the number is 631-300-4477. Yes, it's not 1-877-909-9977 anymore. It is 631-300-4477. To call our show right now here at the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Remember, you can follow us by going to our website at worldwidesportsradio.com. And you can follow us on all our social medias from Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, YouTube, TuneIn Radio, radio.com, and soon, very, very soon, our app. So stay tuned for that. It'll be on iOS, and it will be on Android. As you guys know, we've been gone for about 2 weeks. Happy holidays, happy New Year's Eve, Merry Christmas, happy Kwanzaa, happy Hanukkah, whatever you want to say.
All that good stuff.
All the good stuff. And we are here finally after 2 weeks. We got Fios. Shout out to Fios, Verizon Fios. Much faster than Optimum, by the way. Much faster. So I'd like to thank Fios for coming in over the weekend and hooking up our Fios. So that's great. And by the way, guys, make sure your phones are on mute before our show starts. As you guys know, we have a lot to talk about. We're going to get into the coaching vacancies right now in the NFL and who qualifies for what position and what team. We're also going to talk about free agency that's going to happen over the next couple of weeks after the Super Bowl. We'll get into that. We'll get into, obviously, over the weekend, the wild card games. And we're going to get into some basketball and baseball a little bit later before our show ends. But the story I really want to get into was the story that started on practically almost every single show throughout the country. This morning, and really over the weekend, there were stories coming out with Dallas that it was either two coaches. It was obviously Mike McCarthy and Urban Meyer. Those were the two names that came out in junction for this coaching vacancy, the Cowboys' great coaching vacancy. And why I say great is because all the Cowboy fans think they're a Super Bowl contender. It came out this morning at about 7:30, 8 o'clock, that sources came out that Mike McCarthy will sign with the Dallas Cowboys. He is going to take the vacancy job of the great Jerry Jones Dallas Cowboys. Now, throughout our social media and really throughout our network, all day today, I've been hearing that this is a great move. He was the best qualified person for the job. And he's one of the quality coaches that were available in this offseason coaching vacancy positions. The problem here is not that Mike McCarthy isn't a good coach, because I think he is. And his numbers show that. As you said, Maddie, is that I'm a numbers guy. But numbers don't sell a coach, especially a quarterback that doesn't fit the West Coast offense. Now, I don't know about you guys, and I don't know if you know anything, Steve, about the West Coast offense, because it really was built with the San Francisco 49ers, the Joe Montana San Francisco 49ers. And I know Speedy knows a little bit about the West Coast offense, but again, he wasn't alive when the West Coast offense was really built in the 80s and the late 70s, I'm sorry. The West Coast offense provides quality passes. And what I mean by quality passes is accurate passes. You need to be able to throw almost every single pass in the West Coast offense. Because the West Coast offense is used by using running backs in the open field, moving them in different areas, moving wide receivers, 2 or 3 wide receivers in the slant or the slot. You're using wide receivers in the middle of the field more than you do in a regular offense. Mike McCarthy is one of the creators, one of the big creators, a part of one of the big creators of this offense, the way it was built and the way it was established here in the NFL, him and Andy Reid. But I'll tell you right now, do I think Mike McCarthy is the best coach for this job? Absolutely not. Why? Now everybody says, I'm going to explain why. And now everybody says, well, he was the best coach available. Just because you're the best coach available does not mean you're the best coach for that team. Dak Prescott is not an efficient passer. He's not. They don't have the weapons. The Dallas Cowboys don't have the weapons, really, to run this offense. I don't want to hear about Michael Gallup, because Michael Gallup's only been in the league for 2 years, and he had a decent year this year.
He had a pretty good year.
A decent year. He fell off in a lot of games. He disappeared in a lot of games.
He was better in the first half of the year, and even when he was good, it was really only 4 games.
You cannot disappear in the West Coast offense. It doesn't work.
What was Dak's completion percentage this year?
Here's the thing, and I know a lot of people want to look at Dak Prescott's completion percentage this year. Well, he got better at his passes. That's because Ezekiel Elliott didn't run the ball as much as he usually does. Why? Because he missed the whole off-season workout.
65.1%.
He missed the whole off-season workout. Ezekiel Elliott.
With the holdout, right?
Now, when you think of the West Coast offense, you do not think of power backs. Now, Eddie Lacy was a power back in the Green Bay Packers offense. Was Eddie Lacy really successful with the Green Bay Packers? He wasn't.
We have 1 good year?
2 good years, that was it.
2?
Nobody that's ever come out of the West Coast offense was a successful power back. And I don't want to hear it from anybody. And I know everybody is going to try to look, you're probably going to try to look up, well, this guy was a little bit successful in the West Coast offense, and that guy was a little successful. Yeah, there are guys that were successful in certain aspects of the West Coast offense. Power backs do not fit in the West Coast offense. They don't. They don't. So you look at Ezekiel Elliott, who just got paid $80 million. You just paid him $80 million and almost $45 to $50 million guaranteed. And you have him for the next 5-6 years. How are you going to build your offense around a power back who is your best player, who doesn't fit the scheme of your offense? How does that work?
But don't you think Mike McCarthy knew that going into it? Like, why would he have taken the job knowing that?
Here's the reason why. Money. That's the reason why. Mike McCarthy had a choice.
But everybody was going to offer him money.
Not the money the Cowboys are going to offer him. Not the guarantees the Cowboys are going to offer him. Not the bull crap about, look, you have the chance to coach the America's team, whatever they call that damn team. And I call it damn team because all I keep hearing is the Cowboys are 1 or 2 players away from winning a Super Bowl. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous.
Well, they're closer to it than a lot of the other teams.
Really, who?
That had vacancies.
Browns? Are they closer than the Browns?
Yeah.
No, they're not. What? The Browns are a much more talented team.
Wait a second. The Browns are closer to a championship than the Cowboys.
Absolutely.
How can you say that?
It's very simple. I can name about 5 players right now that I would take over every single player on the Dallas Cowboys, on the Browns. 5 players.
All right, let's hear it.
Odell Beckham. Jarvis Landry.
What has Odell done on a winning team?
It doesn't matter. Bradley Chubb.
Odell does not.
Odell was held back this year by the worst coach in football.
Chubb.
Yeah, but Odell.
Hold on. Do you want me to name players? I'm
All right,
naming
go
you
ahead.
players. Chubb. Kareem Hunt.
Chubb, I'll agree with you.
Kareem Hunt.
Okay,
If he stays.
I think he is going to stay.
Okay.
Kareem Hunt. That's 4 guys right there.
Okay.
Okay? How about their big-time pass rusher that got suspended for the whole season?
So I can't equally name you the same number of guys on the Cowboys.
Let's hear it.
Ezekiel Elliott.
Ezekiel Elliott doesn't fit in his offense, so there, take him out. Go ahead, give me another one.
But Chubb does?
Chubb would fit in his offense, yes. Chubb does a lot more things than Ezekiel Elliott does. Ezekiel Elliott is a power back.
But
That's
he
what
has
he is.
added to his repertoire. He's
Really?
become a lot more of a
Right,
pass-catching
but Nick Chubb was
running
already
back.
well-rounded to begin with.
Nick Chubb is
but-
much more
But
well-rounded.
Zeke is now.
Zeke is more dominant in what he does, yeah, but Nick Chubb is still.
But
a
he's
more
actually become he's
skilled runner.
become a better pass catcher though.
Yeah,
Really?
But
Yeah.
it's not
think
sophisticated
it's-
like other pass catching backs. And Nick Chubb had a really good year as a pass catching back this year.
Yeah.
It
No,
doesn't-
Nick Chubb had a good year overall.
He doesn't fit their offense. He doesn't fit Mike McCarthy's West Coast offense. He doesn't. And that's what people don't understand here. It's not that I don't think the Cowboys have talent. They have talent. They're far away from winning a championship. That's what the Cowboy fans do not understand. Their offensive line is aging. They're aging. They're old. Their left tackle and their right tackle are old.
And how's the Browns' offensive line?
Horrible.
That's fine. It's horrible. But guess what the Browns have that the Cowboys don't have? Draft stock. The Cowboys don't have nearly as much draft picks this coming year than the Browns do. And Mike McCarthy had his opportunity to take over the team as the coach and possibly be his own GM because there is no GM over there. There really isn't. He can run that team and that organization the way he fits his offense.
Well, yeah, that's what they're promising.
And by the way, the
coach.
players on the Browns fit better in his offense than the Cowboys. And Baker Mayfield is more efficient as a passer than Dak Prescott is. So, again,
Baker Mayfield took a step back this year.
he took a step back
With the
again
worst
with the
coach in
coach.
football.
It had everything to do with the coach and the play calling. It didn't fit.
So?
If you put Mike McCarthy with the Browns right now, if you look at the Browns right now on paper, offensively, what they have, even with their offensive line, the West Coast offense is what? The offense runs through the passer, the quarterback. The quarterback opens the field. He steps back 3 or 4 times, very rarely a 5th time, and he releases the ball. Dak Prescott is not an efficient quarterback. And I don't want to hear about his 65% completion percentage because, to me, that is not the tail of the tape
But
right now.
I can give you the same argument because we don't really know what Jason Garrett is as a coach.
Why are we bringing up Jason Garrett again?
Because that's who Dak Prescott's head coach has been.
Okay.
Right, but he wasn't
So
calling plays
how do you
this
know? Okay, so you're arguing that Baker Mayfield took a step back because he had a bad coach. So how do we know
Freddie
that Dak
Kitchens is a far
Prescott?
worse coach than Jason
Let me ask you a
Garrett.
question.
But how
I
do
don't
we
even
know
like
that?
Jason
How do we know
Garrett.
Mike McCarthy can't
Bring
more out of Dak Prescott?
Let me ask you a question. How many 1,000-yard runners has Mike McCarthy coached in his career?
I think 2.
2.
Okay.
Ryan
2.
Grant in 08, and I think Eddie Lacy.
2 years out
And
of
2
almost
years of Eddie Lacy,
2
so
years
3.
out of 12 years. He's had 2 1,000-yard runners.
Okay.
Okay.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? Ezekiel Elliott runs 1,000 yards every single year in an offense of Jason Garrett's magnitude where he runs the ball more than he throws. In the West Coast offense, the ball is thrown more than it's run. And his strength does not fit with Mike McCarthy's offense. That's what you're not getting here. It doesn't fit.
If he's a good coach, why can't he adapt to the
He's
personnel
gonna
that he
have
has?
to, yeah.
He's going to adapt. So you're telling me his style of game, when you look at the style of game, you look at what the Cowboys do good and what the Cowboys do bad, he's going to have to work out these problems, which, by the way, they have no secondary whatsoever, the Cowboys. They're terrible secondary. They're going to have to pay Dak Prescott now because that's why Mark McCarthy came in. They're going to have to pay him at least $35 million now because he's going to – it's
Are
either
you sold on that, though?
They're absolutely going to have to pay him because if they don't, they're going to have to go into the draft. And, by the way, this draft, as much as everybody thought this was a draft for quarterbacks, it's not. It's not a draft for quarterbacks.
But who says Mike McCarthy's not going to want his guy either? Though?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well, because I believe that the whole point of him signing with the Cowboys was to
For Dak Prescott?
Yes,
Was for Dak? Okay.
to work with Dak Prescott because everybody thinks he's going to help Dak Prescott because he changed Aaron Rodgers' career. Meanwhile, Aaron Rodgers was a beast of a quarterback before he took over the reins of Brett Favre, and he's a much efficient, better quarterback than Dak Prescott. Aaron Rodgers retires right now. Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Famer.
Right.
Dak Prescott is not going to sniff the Hall of Fame. He's not going to sniff it, okay? So you're talking about two of the greatest quarterbacks, top 15 quarterbacks of all time to Dak Prescott. It's completely different.
Well, I'm not comparing Aaron Rodgers to Dak Prescott.
I'm not either. I'm telling you that Dak Prescott doesn't fit his offense. Zeke Elliott doesn't fit his offense. And by the way, the aging offensive line that the Cowboys have, they're going to have to pay. They're going to have to pay these guys this offseason too. They're going to have to pay one of the tackles. He's going to be asking for money.
Well, they paid Collins already, the older tackle.
The other
Smith.
tackle.
We'll see if he even stays though, because he's always hurt too. He might even be gone.
Okay, if he's gone, what are they going to do at the left tackle position? What are they going to do over there?
How would you say that Aaron Rodgers did this season?
What do I think he did this season? Well, he threw over 4,000 yards, if I'm not mistaken. I think he threw 27 touchdowns to, 11 interceptions, 10 interceptions? I think he did pretty good.
Overall, give him a grade.
He only threw 4 interceptions. 4,002 yards, 26 touchdowns, 4 picks.
I think that's a MVP kind of candidate right there. That's
MVP?
Yes. Well, what do you mean? Shake your head. How many yards did Lamar Jackson throw this year?
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
About 30.
Wasn't 4,000.
It was about 3,200.
How many yards did Aaron Rodgers rush for this season?
Probably around 400.
Okay. And Lamar Jackson rushed for over
1,000. 1,000. So you're looking at Lamar Jackson because of it. Remember, you're talking about a quarterback position, a throwing league. This is an offensive league. You're going to tell me because Lamar Jackson ran 1,000 yards and threw 3,200 yards that he was a better quarterback this year than Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
You're out of your mind. Aaron Rodgers has been efficient.
Wait, you really think Aaron Rodgers had that good of? I know. I took the
26
numbers.
He had a couple
I hear the
bad
numbers that you
games
guys
in the beginning of the
26.
year, and then he had a couple at the end.
If you're telling me he only threw 4 interceptions of 26 touchdowns and had over 4,000 yards, absolutely.
They had a much better defense than they've ever had this season.
What is that? So
the
that
Ravens
doesn't.
have a better defense.
So what does that mean? That's what I don't understand. What's your argument?
They benefited more from his defense than his actual.
Really?
But you're right. You're right.
Most
It's a
of his
different
better-
kind of team, but
yes.
he's still playing well in that.
And he
kind
has
of thing.
Aaron Jones running for him. Most of his.
So because
that's why he got less touchdowns.
Because he had Aaron Jones running the ball.
He's
the
not
reason
airing it out as much as he was
That's why
with
he
Mike
has less
McCarthy.
touchdowns.
He threw 4,000 yards. He threw 4,000 yards.
In a throwing league,
No.
but that's like.
Again, that's not your argument here. You're telling me, I'm telling you he's an MVP candidate. His numbers show he's an MVP candidate. Go match off Russell Wilson's and Lamar Jackson.
Russell's numbers were better.
Not by much. Not by much.
Russell Wilson, I think, had 31 touchdowns, 5 picks. But like Steve was saying with Lamar Jackson, he has the rushing yards too.
By what? 600 yards?
600 something.
That
yards.
is a
Rodgers only had 183 this year.
That's a big difference.
That's not a big difference. Okay, and he's had 1,000 yards more thrown.
It's over 900 yards.
And he's thrown over 1,000 more yards than Lamar Jackson. So that's a big difference.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson only threw 3,127 yards.
For you to even think that Aaron Rodgers is not an MVP candidate, you obviously didn't watch the football season.
Well,
This
no,
is-
I would
they were a
I would
number-
go Lamar
they are the
Jackson,
number-
Russell Wilson.
You're out of your mind. No,
Aaron Rodgers comes up maybe
the
around
only reason why Lamar
4th
Jackson,
or 5th
the
in that
only
discussion.
reason why Lamar Jackson is in the talk right now, because it is where the Baltimore Ravens are right now in the AFC, and they dethroned the Patriots. That's the only reason why, because he's a running quarterback, he's a second-year quarterback, and he's changed the game by the way he runs the ball. That's the only reason why. The guy that
also had nothing to do with how many games they won in a row and the record that they finished up with.
No, because they also
how
have a
many
lot of
games
talent,
did
so.
the Green Bay Packers win this year?
They won 13.
And who's in a harder division?
This year, the Packers.
Who's in the harder league?
Easily the Packers.
Wait, are we certain that's a tougher division?
No, absolutely.
This year it was.
Minnesota. Go look at their division.
That's it, Minnesota.
No, Minnesota? What do you mean, just Minnesota?
You're worried about Chicago?
Chicago,
They're still talented.
Chicago's a better team than we're talking about. Who are we talking about now? We're talking about Lamar Jackson. Pittsburgh Steelers?
Yeah.
Who did Pittsburgh Steelers have as their quarterback this year? Hodges? Are you kidding me? The Browns? Baker Mayfield and that terrible team? Oh, yeah, they're great. They were the only team.
The Steelers finished with a solid
They were
record,
pesky.
though.
They weren't that talented. They're not that talented.
The Steelers.
They had a talented roster. They just had an injured quarterback.
The Steelers sucked this year. They sucked this year.
They had a playoff spot up until
Anybody had a playoff spot.
They did fine considering the circumstances.
Do you want me to bring up the Steelers' numbers this year?
The Bears, I think, are still a better,
much better team.
team.
A much better team. A much better team than the Pittsburgh Steelers.
They don't have a quarterback.
What do you mean?
Mitch Trubisky.
Mitchell Trubisky is a better quarterback than the Pittsburgh. He's better than Mason Rudolph. He's better than Hodges.
That's their backups. Those are their backups.
Dude, we're talking about Mitchell Trubisky, who was a Pro Bowl player last year. You're making it seem like Mitchell Trubisky is not a good quarterback. He was a Pro Bowl player last year, and last year was his second year. That's what you're not understanding here, and I'm trying to explain this to you. Aaron Rodgers this year was an MVP candidate. The only reason why he's not in the discussion is because Russell Wilson, with the team that he had this year that nobody expected, and Lamar Jackson with what he has done in a very weak AFC, and their schedule was very easy.
That's why I give the edge to Wilson over him, too.
Very easy.
The NFC West schedule was brutal this year.
It was very easy. And you look at what Aaron Rodgers had to contend with all season long, and they were the number 2 seed?
Yep.
They were the number 2 seed in the hardest division in football. And by the way,
what else did the Ravens have to do for them to get your respect? They beat all.
I'm not
of
saying
the best.
No, I don't think he's saying the Ravens. I think he's saying the Ravens' schedule.
I'm not talking about respect.
They played San Francisco. They beat San Francisco.
Oh, big whoop!
Right.
Big
They
whoop.
beat Seattle. They beat what else do they have to do?
Listen, the Patriots weren't the same Patriot team they've been in the last
No, they
couple
weren't.
of
But
years.
at that point, they were.
And
they were
San
still,
Francisco, you're going to see in this week how overrated the San Francisco 49ers are.
Are they going to lose to the Vikings?
Quite possibly.
I could see it, too.
Quite possibly with that defense and the way they played in the second half of the game. Absolutely.
If the Vikings offensive line could hold up.
And by the way, Tyler, all you guys out there, and we're going to go to a quick break, that says that Kirk Cousins can't win the big game. By the way, he won the big game. I don't want to hear about the push-off. I don't want to hear about the penalties. That is not Kirk Cousins' fault.
Anyway.
That wasn't Kirk Cousins' fault, okay? Kirk Cousins won the big game, and when he needed to make the play in overtime, he made the plays in overtime. So I don't want to hear this crap that Kirk Cousins can't win the big game. He can. And by the way, Kirk Cousins' numbers in the last 5 years as good as any quarterback in the NFL right now today.
There's really something to. So, okay, your point about Kirk Cousins can't win the big game, I think that's a whole bunch of BS too. So there's been talks about how he's this really routine, regimented guy. So the main thing is he's just not good at playing in like 8 o'clock starts on Sunday night or Monday night. When he plays at 1 o'clock Eastern time, that's when he has his absolute best games. So this game was at 1 o'clock.
Right, but not all his Monday night losses were his fault either.
I don't believe in any of those things. I don't believe in anything. Listen,
the numbers are there. When he plays at 1 o'clock, that's when he plays
but those
his best.
could be all
I don't think
records.
What I'm saying, I'm kind of like agreeing with what you're saying, though.
But I'm going to go back to Mike McCarthy because I don't even want to talk about Kirk Cousins right now because I could talk about Kirk Cousins later.
That's what
I'm bringing it up because I took a shot at Tyler because Tyler's wrong. He's wrong. And Matty Caps is wrong, thinking that Mike McCarthy is a great fit for the Cowboys. Because he's not. He really isn't. The guys on the team.
Where would his best fit have been?
Mike McCarthy would fit Atlanta or the Browns.
Yeah, but we know Atlanta held on to their coach.
So the Browns. He would fit better with the Browns. They have more weapons, and he could do more in his West Coast offense with the players that he has right now with the Browns than he does with the Cowboys. And here's it's true. Okay, so there are 2 wide receivers I would take over Amari Cooper right now on the Browns. Jarvis Landry is a better wide receiver than Amari Cooper.
I like Jarvis Landry.
He's a
but
better
there's
wide
something
receiver.
about Odell that I don't trust on a team right now. I just
With Mike
Still
McCarthy?
better than Mari Cooper.
Oh, no, I'm not denying his talent. I just think there's something about him that I don't know. He's too much of a me guy, and I think it affects the morale on his team. There's something about
They also
him.
have a big-time tight end that got hurt again this year.
Yeah.
Who can make plays, too, the Browns do.
I'm not saying that McCarthy would have done a bad job in Cleveland.
He would have done a great job in Cleveland. I thought he fit perfectly with the Cleveland. I really thought the Cleveland Browns were going to bring him in. It made a lot of sense. They fired the GM. He wants to run an organization. It fit better.
I wonder why they didn't. They brought him in, right? They interviewed him?
I think they did interview him. I just think McCarthy was sold by the Cowboys and Jerry Jones.
Yeah, you had the sleepover with Jerry Jones.
Which I think is a crock of you-know-what, too. So I think it's all hearsay on what we hear from different press and different information. But again, everybody could say whatever they want. Mike McCarthy was the best coach available as far as the free agency coaching market.
Yeah, the best resume.
But again, he's not the best coach for that team. You know who I thought would have been perfect for the Cowboys right now? Jim Caldwell. Did they interview Jim Caldwell? No. Jim Caldwell's offense predicates through power backs. Go look at the Baltimore Ravens when they won the Super Bowl with Flacco. Power running and location slant wide receivers making plays in the open field. His offense predicated through that style of offense to the Cowboys style of offense. Jim Caldwell is a proven winner. I think his winning percentage, I think, is 520 something, which is over 500. This guy, I know he's 2-4 in the playoffs, but he's still been to the Super Bowl as a head coach with Peyton Manning. He lost, but he was still in the Super Bowl as a head coach, and he did win 2 Super Bowls as an offensive coordinator.
How come you don't hear his name mentioned?
It's sad.
It's surprising,
because,
yeah.
It's sad because, you know what, I think Jim Caldwell fits perfectly on a lot of teams. There's a lot of vacancies that are available this year. The Browns would be a great vacancy for him. He would be perfect. He would be perfect.
66 and 54 in his career as a whole. The only downside, I think, with Jim Caldwell is he's just a little. The team when he was there was a little collapse prone at the end of the season.
When was the last time he coached?
The
2017,
Detroit Lions.
2017 with Detroit, but that Lions team
9-7
was below average.
Got fired
talent
after
pretty much
9-7.
every year.
That's
So
odd.
that justifies that he could be a good coach. He's just collapse prone is the only thing to worry about with him, but he's a good offensive mind, and he did well with a below
I
average
wonder why
Lions
you don't hear
team.
his name mentioned.
To me, it bothers me because I thought he fit the best with the Cowboys. And everybody keeps saying, well, who else was good that was out there? There's a couple of good coaches that are still available. Now, I know we have a call. Hold on 1 second, and we'll go to break after the call. Jason Garrett, he will not take a job this offseason. I will bet anybody out there that is a Jason Garrett fan or likes Jason Garrett is not going to take a job this offseason. He's going to wait until next offseason. He's going to give himself some time. He's still getting paid. He's still getting paid, right?
I think he still gets paid for another year. by
Yeah,
Dallas,
so he's still getting paid, so he can sit out for another season and just relax and figure out where he wants to go in the offseason of next year. Because I think there's going to be a lot of vacancies, a.k.a. the New York Jets will be one of those teams that are probably going to have a vacancy. I don't think Jason Garrett will be the guy that the Jets are going to bring in, but I would take Jason Garrett over Adam Gase right now. Absolutely.
I still don't know what Adam Gase is, though.
We'll see. All right, we have a first caller of the day from Down to the Wire. Who are we speaking to?
Happy New Year, Robbie Anderson Radio.
Well, I thought you weren't going to call my show Robbie Anderson Radio anymore after you dealt with Tyler the other day. So,
Tyler's a dope. He's an idiot.
So, what would you like to talk
Listen,
What would you like to talk about, buddy?
This Mike McCarthy thing is not going to work for the Cowboys, and I have the perfect reason why.
Go ahead, hit me.
It's the Cowboys. Nothing they've done in 20 years has worked out. That's why it's obviously the wrong hire.
Yeah, but they actually hired the coach with the best resume.
That doesn't matter. How many times?
Which is completely by mistake. Jerry Jones must have stroked out and picked him on accident.
No, I think Jerry Jones picked him because he knew that there was going to be a lot of backlash if he didn't pick a big-name coach that was available, and he was the only one out there besides Urban Meyer. And Urban Meyer, everything that I heard over the weekend is he practically said, there's no way in hell I'm taking that job.
Yeah, the Urban Meyer thing is a joke, dude. like complete joke. Anytime something remotely goes wrong, he fakes a heart attack and leaves.
That's what I thought was going to happen anyways if he took the job.
Right? Aaron Hernandez killed people. Tim Tebow didn't work out. Almost put Florida on probation. Oh, my heart, I got to go. He pops up at Ohio State. He was protecting a wife beater. Oh, my God, my heart, I need to go. It's not going to work for him in Dallas.
I don't think it's going to work for him either. I think there's a problem right now because I understand what you're saying, Jeff, because it's the Dallas Cowboys and they never get it right. But the problem is the players that they have right now, they're in Dallas, do not fit Mike McCarthy's offense. They don't.
I mean, that isn't even the thing anyways. They have $80 million in cap space, right? Mm-hmm. They're going to sign Dak for 30.
That's what I think, too.
Quarterbacks go for, right? So now they're down to 50. Amari Cooper's going to get 15 to 20 million, and now they're going to have to sign 20 more players with $20 million remaining.
I said the same thing. Yep.
They're all going to be bums.
I said the same thing. And they signed him, by the way, McCarthy's agreement with the Cowboys, and the contract is 5-year deal. It's a 5-year deal with the Cowboys. I don't think he's going to last more than 4 years. I really don't. I
don't give him more than 2 because what's going to end up happening is if they don't win this year, the window's closed. That's it. They got all these big contracts. They're going to be a diminishing team. They're going to lose Byron Jones if they sign Amari Cooper and Dak. He's going to go. They're not going to be able to afford him.
Did you hear what James Jones said? I'm reading a story right now that McCarthy's offense is perfect for Dak. James Jones, the same James Jones that did nothing in the NFL. Did nothing.
Dak Prescott is only good against bad teams. Everyone likes to blame the play calling and stuff. Go back to that Philly game. The play calls were perfect. Dak Prescott was missing wide open receivers. Wide open.
I think right now when you look at the Dallas Cowboys in the position that they're not in a better position adding Mike McCarthy to the realm of what that team is right now.
But you don't know what they're going to do, what his vision is for the team, though.
He just told you what's going to happen.
Right.
They're going to have to pay Dak Prescott $30 million.
Why are you so certain that they're going to pay all of those
That's the only reason. That's the only reason why he took the job, or Jerry Jones offered him the job, because he thinks he can help Dak Prescott become an elite quarterback. So they're going to give Dak Prescott $30 million. And they just paid Ezekiel Elliott $80 million, and he doesn't even fit that offense. They're going to have to pay Amari Cooper, and Amari Cooper might fit that offense. And then they got Michael Gallup. And Michael Gallup, he had a good season in certain aspects of his game, has gotten better.
Well, they don't have to worry about paying Gallup, right?
No, they don't have to worry about it. The problem is they got an aging Randall Cobb who can't stay on the field. He knows the offense, but he's going to be there. And they don't have enough guys to fit the style of offense he wants to run with the Cowboys. He doesn't have the players.
Mike McCarthy could barely win with one of the best quarterbacks in football. How is he going to win with this mediocre piece of trash?
Well, what do you mean he could barely win? I mean, he won a Super Bowl and he was in the playoffs.
He won one Super Bowl.
Yeah, but he was in the playoffs every year.
He won a Super Bowl like 8 years ago, and it's been all downhill since. And as far as I can tell, he still had Aaron Rodgers all that time.
Errol mentioned it earlier, though. The NFC has been very good for a while.
Absolutely. And he's going.
Stop it. The NFC is better now than the AFC. But
Way
that
better.
wasn't always the case.
It's been the case for a while.
But that wasn't the case back then. The NFC was very soft.
Certain
divisions. It's got its ebbs and flows. It always.
Hold on, Jeff. Hold on 1 second. We're going to go to a quick break. We're going to come back. We got a lot to talk about. Stay right on. 631-300-4477 is the number. Remember, this is Down to the Wire. When we come back, we'll get more into this Mike McCarthy signing and other stories, and we're going to get into the first week of the playoffs, the wild card games, when we come back here at the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You're listening to Down to the Wire on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
631-300-4477 is the number to call. As you know, this is Down to the Wire. We are live for now on Monday through Wednesday. Down to the Wire will be playing live here at the Cafe Rays. How do you find us? You go to 150 Motor Parkway, Hauppauge, New York. You can find us over here downstairs at this wonderful, beautiful cafe here at Cafe Rays. And you can follow us on our website at worldwidesportsradio.com. We have Jeff still on the phone. Jeff, are you still there?
Hashtag Van the Bees.
I do want to get into Tom Brady, and I know you're a Brady fan, you're a Patriot fan. I know there was a lot of things that came out after the game, after losing the wild card game against Tennessee, throwing the interception, which obviously ended the game. It ended, the reign at home in the playoffs with the Patriots.
Oh, stop.
But that's what people are saying. What do you think?
That is what people are saying, but think about how ridiculous that is. That's Brady's third one and done of his career, and they're declaring him dead.
No.
He only needs 6 more one and dones just to tie Peyton Manning, but he's the greatest.
Well, first of all, I never said that he was done. He might be done with the Patriots, but I don't think he's done in the NFL.
You know, it's funny. It was on Barstool. Tom Brady sent a message to Dave Portnoy of Barstool Sports that said, "Don't worry about it. I'll see you in Tampa Bay for number 7 next year."
And that's fine. That's fine. If Tom Brady wants to come out and say that, that's fine. It's Tom Brady. But again, I don't know if Tom Brady is going to. First of all, we don't know how healthy his elbow is. We really don't.
Oh, he was bad.
And we don't know how healthy the elbow is. We don't know if he needs surgery. We don't know if he needs Tommy John surgery. We don't know. So
I don't think it's his elbow, though. I think it's his shoulder.
I thought it was his elbow. Everything that I was reading was his elbow. But
yeah, well, regardless, somewhere in the arm.
Yes. So we don't, and it was his throwing arm. So we don't know where that's at. I think he's going to be 43 next year. And I'm not saying that Tom Brady can't do it, but you could see that he's slowing down. He is slowing down as a quarterback in the NFL. Now, that doesn't mean that he can't win. That doesn't mean that he can't play for the Patriots next year. The Patriots figure out their problems offensively, and they find a way to win, to add some pieces to make their offense better.
In addition to elbow injury, he also had a foot injury. So, is what was reported earlier today.
To me, this is a big story. First of all, nobody's talking about the Patriots and what's going to happen with the cheating situation. How many draft picks are they going to lose? So I don't know where that's going yet.
Minimal.
I'm sorry?
It's going to be minimal. It's going to be a late-round draft pick and a $250,000 fine.
All right, well, we'll see what happens with that. And we don't know what's going to happen with Bill Belichick. Now, I do believe Bill Belichick will be back next year for at least one more year. But there's no conclusion that he's going to stay with the Patriots, and maybe he steps back, because maybe stays as the GM running the organization, and he gives the reins to McDaniels. So we don't know where that's going either. The Patriots are now on a standstill, because I think the Patriots are in a position right now that we've never seen the Patriots have been in at least the last 18 years. We don't know where Tom Brady is going to be next year, and we don't know if Bill Belichick is going to be back next year. And what we do know is the Patriots lost a home game against the Tennessee Titans where they couldn't stop a lick. This is one of the best defensive teams in the NFL. They could not stop Henry.
Oh, stop it.
They could not stop Henry.
14 points.
They could not stop Henry. He ran the ball all over him. He controlled the line of scrimmage.
How could they only score twice if they couldn't stop him?
He controlled the time and possession of the ball, which is important in football, especially in the playoffs. And it controlled the line of scrimmage. And when you have a running back that has had a sensational year. And by the way, Mark gave me a statistic. The last player that has won a Heisman and that won the rushing title, win the rushing title, was Barry Sanders. He was the last Heisman Trophy winning to win the rushing title.
Well,
so
that stinks anyways. Ezekiel Elliott's better than Barry Sanders.
I'm sorry?
I said he stinks anyways, though. Ezekiel Elliott's way better than Barry Sanders.
Yeah. To whose mind? The Beeve? That's about it. And I'm Ezekiel.
I'm mocking him.
I know you're mocking him. I know you're mocking him. I know you're mocking him. I know.
He's an idiot.
But I'm looking at every single thing that's happened so far in the playoffs. First of all, this was one of the best weekends for a wild card weekend. It really was. All the games were close.
Every game was exciting in the fourth quarter.
They were very fun to watch. We saw a quarterback that actually showed up in a big game where everybody said he wasn't going to win a big game. He did win a big game. Yep. We saw a quarterback. We might see the end of one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time in Tom Brady. We might have seen the last of him. I don't know. Probably not, but who knows? We saw the Patriots actually lose a home game in the playoffs. That's something you don't see.
Before.
That's something you don't see all the time.
Not since
I mean,
2012.
but it's happened before.
I mean, it's happened before against
Not
the
since
Jets.
2012.
The last
Well,
time
it happened against the Ravens.
the Ravens, and they
Ravens
lost against the
2012.
Jets. Yes,
AFC championship.
and they lost, and then the last time after that was the Jets.
Yeah.
You had to know something was up with this team once they lost to Miami
Their
with
offense-
a chance to clinch a first-round bye.
Their
Like,
offensive line was terrible.
Yeah, but even with the first round bye, they weren't going anywhere. The offense
That
we saw
helps
from
a
the Patriots
lot,
in
though.
The playoffs it wouldn't have helped.
it always helps. They don't
That
make it
same
far
offense-
without a first-round bye. Historically.
It wouldn't have mattered. The same offense that you've seen for the last 10 weeks of the season was the same offense that showed up in the playoffs. That offense wasn't beating anybody. So whether they had a first-round bye or not, they were losing in the first round or the second round, whatever, their first game.
It's still an extra week of rest, and it always helps. That always helps.
It wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have mattered. When they came out of the bye in the regular season, they were terrible.
Yeah.
Having a bye did not help this team at all. They stunk on offense all year.
And the games were fun to watch. All the games. The AFC games on Saturday were fun to watch. You saw competitive games, emotional games, and even on Sunday, watching Kirk Cousins win his first playoff game, that was fun.
Beautiful throw to Thielen.
That was a fun game to watch. Now, I feel bad for the Saints. I really do. Because the Saints, I know a lot of people say, well, the Saints got screwed again this year.
No, they didn't.
They didn't.
I don't think they did either. I think that when you watch the game, it was an overtime game, and it was down to the wire. It came down to the wire.
Down to the wire.
And what you saw was Kirk Cousins made the plays that he needed to make in the overtime game to win his team a game.
And Drew Brees was not very
but
good.
It's not even just that. Everyone's going to point to the little push off from Kyle Rudolph. Yes, and he did push off. It is what it is, right? But is everyone just going to overlook the fact that the Saints had the ball with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left in regulation, and their clock management was an abomination?
There's more to look at than just the push off at the end of the game. Like they shouldn't have been in that position. Drew Brees could have played a lot better. There's a lot more things to point to than just, we got screwed by the push off again.
There's another quarterback that you've probably seen the end of. I think Drew Brees is done.
Really?
I do. I think Drew Brees will retire this year.
No, I've heard that, but he had some really good games at the end of the season, and then this was a terrible game.
I think that when you look at where the Saints are now, and they're a young team right now, I think that you might have seen the last game of Drew Brees'
It's possible.
career. I just look. We're watching these quarterbacks, and we've watched dominance from Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, all these quarterbacks for almost 15, 16 years. And now you're slowly watching them.
It's the end of an era.
You know, the end of an era, and now you're watching the new era when you have the Patrick Mahomes, you have the Lamar Jacksons, the Russell Wilsons.
Well, we still got Rodgers, who's kind of like a bridge between.
Rodgers
he's a bridge.
He's the last one, though.
He's the last one.
He's what, 34? How many more
35.
years does he really have?
He's going to be 35 this year.
But like Phillip Rivers, Breeze, Brady, Manning just a year or two ago, Roethlisberger isn't long for the game. It literally is like ushering in all the new kids, and all the old guys are leaving.
Yep. And now you have the Jimmy Garoppolos, you have the Sam Darnolds now, you have all these young quarterbacks that are now taking over for other organizations. And Deshaun Watson.
A lot of good ones.
Yeah, a lot of good young ones that you're going to be talking about for the next 10 or 15 years. And then you're going to see a lot of these teams take a back step because of the quarterback. It's not easy to find a quarterback of Tom Brady's greatness. It's not easy to find a Drew Brees out there, or Dan Marino, or a Peyton Manning. Those guys are not easy to find, no matter what they look like in college football. And by the way, I know Matt made this a big deal that Tua is going into the draft. Everybody knew Tua was going into the draft. Everybody in the mother.
He had no choice.
Of course he had no choice. And he's not going to be drafted in the top 10. He's not.
Hell no. I don't even know if he'll be a first rounder.
I think he'll be a first rounder. I think because if he falls to 18, Miami will draft him. If he falls to 18, Miami will draft him.
Unless they take a guy higher, there's still Herbert and other guys that they could take higher.
I think Miami.
They've loved him from the start.
I think that if Chase Young falls to Miami, they'll draft Chase Young. I do believe that.
That's not happening. Chase Young ain't falling past 2.
That's what I say. I think he's going to the Lions. But again,
No, I thought the Redskins had 2.
Oh,
They
the
do.
Redskins have 2? Okay.
They
The
do.
Lions have 3.
That could be an enticing pick.
The Lions have 3. What's the order?
Yes, Redskins have 2, Lions have 3, Giants are 4, Miami's 5.
Miami has 5. Okay.
So that could also be an enticing pick to another team to trade up for, too.
So, I mean, I think
that makes it
Justin
even
Herbert
harder
would
for
be the
Miami.
play at 5.
I'm sorry, Jeff. What did you say?
I said I think Justin Herbert would be the play at 5.
I think Justin Herbert is the best quarterback in this year's draft by far.
Oof.
By far. And I know everybody.
He might be the most skilled, but he's got some issues I don't think people are talking about.
Every quarterback has issues. Everybody.
No, he's got major issues, bro.
Well, again, let's talk about the issues that we've talked about quarterbacks that were drafted over the last couple of years. Sam Darnold, fumbling issues. He fixed that problem.
None of them have what Justin Herbert is dealing with, and that's really scary. That's scary if you're an NFL team.
Anything is scary when you see the problems that these quarterbacks have in college, and they're going into the big leagues now when the game is faster and more rougher as far as the position.
Justin Herbert is on top of all the other skepticism. Justin Herbert is probably the scariest prospect you could even think of.
Why do you think that? Why do you think that?
And listen, I wouldn't say this unless he has talked about it himself, but he has a personality disorder, right? He's an introvert. He has a major personality disorder, doesn't like dealing with the media, doesn't like dealing with other people, and doesn't want to be a leader. He has all the tools, but he has a personality
So
disorder.
why is he the play for the Miami Dolphins at 5 then?
Well, because I think you got to take the risk. If you're Miami,
They
you
took the
can't
risk with Tannehill, and that didn't work. And look at Ryan Tannehill right now with Tennessee.
But Ryan Tannehill was a wide receiver converted to quarterback who was a project. The project is now panning out for Tennessee, but it didn't really work in Miami.
Well, it didn't work in Miami because they had the wrong coach there.
Yeah, I think
Right,
that's
well,
what you're
that may be
missing
it
here.
too, but he wasn't dealing with a personality disorder that he tells people he doesn't want to be a leader and doesn't want any attention, that he's an introvert. That's a whole another can of worms. That isn't just maybe your arm isn't strong enough.
Zach Greinke's like that. He's still a great player. I know it's a different sport, but I'm saying the personality thing. I hear you. I don't know. I don't know that it matters as much as you're saying.
And it might take him a while to get comfortable, but I don't think it'll be an issue his whole career.
Go to the NBA. If you don't think it doesn't matter as much as you think, go to the NBA. Look at the kid the Rockets drafted. Can't get on a plane because he has a personality disorder. He might have been one of the best players in college basketball. He couldn't play. Personality disorders are scary, bro.
What about Zach Greinke?
Greinke always had to play in a place that was a small market. Hated it. He is one of the
Dodgers
he
are
was
not a
just
small
on a
market.
he was on the Dodgers, and then he was just on the national stage in
Right, he was
Houston.
one of the very few guys that actually succeeded.
That's why
one of the very few.
I'm not saying it's nothing to sneeze at, but I'm not saying that it's going to completely hold him back either. It all depends on
He
the
couldn't
people
teammates are
surrounding
gonna
him.
make him
I'm
feel
not saying that
comfortable
he
Yeah.
couldn't overcome it, but all I'm telling you is
It's
that's
a risk.
problem that you don't normally see in a quarterbacks are usually type A personalities,
Right.
Want to be leaders.
It
want to be
is.
attention.
Right, and that might hurt certain teams that are maybe bigger market teams from drafting him. I don't think it'll hurt a Miami or the Chargers or a team like that from drafting him.
And also, if you got, go ahead, Jeff. I want to finish up with this conversation with.
Well, no, I mean you would agree that that's a very unique problem you probably haven't seen from a quarterback in 20 years.
Strange
though, right?
from a quarterback.
Sure, but I think that would only
Right,
hinder
so
certain teams.
That's another problem on top of the already going to be there because you're a quarterback skepticism.
Well, also, you watched over the weekend, the first game over the weekend was the Buffalo and Houston game, and you saw two great young quarterbacks in Josh Allen and Deshaun Watson. In the first half, Josh Allen could make no mistakes.
What a wacky game that
And then
was.
in the second half, Deshaun Watson could make no mistakes. And Josh Allen made the biggest mistakes in the biggest time, in the biggest stage, and the biggest part of his career. Now, does that help Josh Allen in the future? Absolutely does.
Good experience.
It gives him the experience, and I think Buffalo are a rising, talented team.
And amidst all that mistakes, he still let it drive to tie the game.
Yeah.
But what I
I
saw...
mean, you're a Bills fan, though. Imagine the balls you have to continue to live. Oh, Jesus.
What I watched in that game was two teams, two hard-nosed teams. Houston that never said die. And I'll tell you this. I don't think O'Brien is a good coach. I really don't. But the team follows the guy. If anybody watched the press conference after the game, the team, they thrive to him. They draw to him. And I think that you watch J.J. Watt. After the game, he said, and J.J. Watt missed the whole season.
I can't believe he came back.
He came back in the game, and he absolutely dominated. And I'll tell you this, I am not a huge J.J. Watt fan. A matter of fact, I think he's highly overrated because if you look at what he has done over the years in his career, he'll have games that he has 3 sacks against a really bad offensive line, and then he won't sack you for 2 or 3 games. But he'll still have his 18, 19 sacks because he overloads against the bad offensive lines.
Yeah,
We've seen that.
Big sack in that game.
But he played a very good offensive line throughout the season. Now, Buffalo, they were a bad offensive line last year, but this year, if you look at where they were ranked, they moved up to 14 or 13.
They were pretty good.
They were pretty good. And he dominated the line of scrimmage in that game. Him and Merciless dominated that line of scrimmage. And if they do that next week, they could win next week because they have a natural...
You think Houston can win next week?
I think Houston have a natural winning quarterback. They have a guy that can win the big game for you.
So what happened last year against the Colts?
That was his first playoff appearance.
Okay.
That was his first first playoff appearance. You're not going to expect a kid to go in his first playoff game against a team that has no offensive line, by the way. Houston's offensive line stinks, okay?
I mean, I think that's really unfair, though.
They stink.
Really unfair.
What's really unfair?
Which part?
I mean, ask him what he did against the Colts last year. Like, we can't hold everybody to, like, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning kind of playoff standards. Some of these young guys, when it's their first, second, third playoff appearance, have to be given some leeway to be making mistakes. No one's going to be immaculate and perfect, like, right away. I just think that's, we can't hold everyone to that standard.
I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you, and we don't agree a lot, but I agree with you. And I think Deshaun Watson is a winning quarterback. He can win you the big game.
There's no question he is. He showed that in college, and I still can't believe that he didn't get sacked at the end of the game there in overtime.
Well,
that was amazing.
If you watch those 2 hits, the double hit, one guy.
How the hell did he not fall down?
It's very simple. One hit him one way, and the other one hit him the other way.
Knocked him.
And knocked him up.
Is what kept him upright.
The second hit was what kept him upright,
That's
and
so
if it didn't, they wouldn't have scored, and they probably wouldn't have won the game.
Yeah.
Listen, that's playoff football. That's playoff sports. You watch NBA, you see crazy things in the NBA you never see. You watch March Madness, you see crazy things in March Madness. You watch the NHL playoffs, who would have thought the St. Louis Blues were going to win the Stanley Cup last year? Come on, nobody.
Not me.
Nobody.
Well, who do you trust more, Andy Reid or Bill O'Brien?
It doesn't matter.
Andy Reid by a mile.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter because in the playoff,
Mike Zimmer outcoached Sean Payton just now.
Yeah, Andy Reid, first of all, has been. Andy Reid has had problems winning the big game. He's never won a Super Bowl. He's got offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators that he has coached with over the years that have won Super Bowls as head coach, and
he
never
doesn't
won a
have
Super
to worry
Bowl.
about Belichick anymore. I feel like that was like the water boy.
That has nothing to do with any of
it's
the
like
things.
the water boy when Henry Winkler couldn't go up against that other coach. That guy's finally out of the way now. So the path is there for him.
But he also was doing this with the Eagles, too. It wasn't just the Chiefs.
First of all, Kansas City's not even the favorite to come out of the AFC this year. Baltimore is. And Kansas City, as much as everybody loves Patrick Mahomes has still not played enough games to say this guy is a playoff quarterback. We have not seen enough. We saw Patrick Mahomes 1 year, and he went to an AFC title game with arguably the best team in football.
Yeah, but
the
same could be said about Deshaun Watson, though.
I want to
see.
see
Chiefs are a better team than Houston does.
First of all, you can't compare Houston and the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City is a much more talented team than the Houston Texans. Much talented, much more talented.
The problem with the Chiefs is they're just one-dimensional both ways.
Yes,
they don't run the ball well, and they until recently haven't been able to stop the run. But they're still a talented team. The Texans, they made some moves this offseason and
it's worked
during the season, which has worked to some extent, but it's still a roster with a lot of holes.
They have a lot of holes, and they have a quarterback that can win a big game. And yes,
the quarterback, yes, I don't trust the coach though.
Do you think? Again, I have seen teams win games without the coach. If you have a player that can make plays, and I'll say that about Mike McCarthy. Who has Mike McCarthy won with that wasn't a superstar quarterback? Tell me. Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Famer. Brett Favre is a Hall of Famer. He didn't have a quarterback that was...
So he had nothing to do with that.
To be honest with you, when it comes to the playoffs, it's all about the guys behind the line of scrimmage, the quarterback, making the plays in the open field, or the defense. He has nothing to do with the defense.
And also, Steve, going back to O'Brien, him making adjustments the way he did, down 16-0 to a top 3 pass defense and top 5 overall defense in football has to say something. You're right. I don't think he's a great coach either.
You don't have to be.
I don't think he's very. I think he's very average at best.
Sean McVay is not a great coach.
I think Sean McDermott is a better coach than him, but he made the adjustments on what the Bills were doing. The Bills could not stop Watson on those option plays, and he made great adjustments.
It's the same thing. An offense.
They don't.
Sure, but I think it was more the defensive play calling that cost him that game, and also the offensive.
They were up 16-0 in the first half.
Josh Allen doesn't know how to win yet.
Right, but that defense.
Either just Sean Watson before that game.
No,
but
but
defense being that good should be able to hold.
Really, you saw him in the playoffs last year? I don't know what you were watching because Deshaun Watson.
But you've seen
that
he went up against the Alabama juggernaut that was beating everybody. So that he's not. He doesn't. He doesn't shy away from the big stage. You know he can get it done.
But if you're the Bills, you're still a top 5 defense and top 3 pass defense. You have to hold that.
And I still can't believe
Bill O'Brien
that they let
make
that
those
game
kinds
go.
of adjustments. Deshaun Watson did too. I'm not saying that he gets no credit, but for that kind of coach to make that kind of adjustment is still a good game plan adjustment. And you don't have to be necessarily a great coach. Like I was saying earlier, Mike Zimmer outcoached Sean Payton in that game. Mike Zimmer is a good but not great coach. Sean Payton's one of the best in the league, but Mike Zimmer outcoached him. Same thing here. Bill O'Brien in the second half outcoached McDermott.
Tell me the last Super Bowl winning team that didn't have that won despite of their coach.
The last Super Bowl team, as much as everybody thinks Pete Carroll's a great coach, I disagree. Pete Carroll won I disagree. I think Pete Carroll got very, very lucky drafting Russell Wilson, and Russell Wilson turning out to be the quarterback that he is today.
Maybe, to answer your question, maybe Gary Kubiak with the Broncos, you think? Maybe that would have been the
Gary
last
Kubiak,
he's a good coach, but I wouldn't say
he's the offensive coordinator for Minnesota. He's the offensive.
No, he's not. He's the running back coach, I think.
Whatever. He is the.
He's a good coach. He's not a.
To me, he's the offensive coordinator for that team. Okay. And to me, what we've seen over the last couple of years, it's you need the players to win the games. Yes, you have a coach that can call the plays.
You need both.
If you have the talent takes over from the coaching. It does. Sean McVay, everybody thought was a great coach. Everybody last year.
So then the Browns should have been in the Super Bowl.
Really?
Right, exactly.
If it's just talent.
And they were held back by the worst coach in football.
That's what I'm saying. You need both.
No, but the Browns.
Right, you do.
The Browns had no offensive line this year. Their offensive line did not play well this year, and they didn't use their players to their advantage. They had players that are game-breaking players that were not game-breaking players in that offense.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be interesting to see whoever ends up coaching the Browns.
I'm sorry, what'd you say, Jeff?
That's why they don't play the games on paper.
No, you got to play the games, and that's why I think Deshaun. Yeah, do I think Deshaun Watson could come out a winner next week? Absolutely. Do I think? I think first of all, I don't think that Baltimore is all be all that going to the Super Bowl just because of what they've done in the regular season. Again, Lamar Jackson did not look good last year in the playoffs. He did not.
He's a much different player this year, though. They built that team around
Really?
him.
Because he was 6-2 when they went into the playoffs last year.
The Titans' defense is actually kind of a tough matchup for his style of
play.
They
played the same offense.
They can't just rely on Lamar Jackson to win that
game.
Their defense needs to step up.
They played the same offense they played last year with Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson going into the playoffs, I think he was 6-1 or 6-2.
They drafted around him this year. They gave him a team that was more suitable for what he's able to do.
To an extent, but the biggest
Hollywood
difference was
Brown?
Greg Roman.
What did Hollywood
and the tight end?
The tight end?
No, he was there.
He was there.
He was there last year. Greg Roman was the biggest.
Who else did they?
Greg Roman was the biggest addition to that offense.
What did you say, Jeff?
I mean, he's been there for 2 years, but I also find it funny that the same guy that was just killing Deshaun Watson because he couldn't beat the Colts last year is now not saying anything about Lamar Jackson being absolutely horrific last year in the playoffs. I thought that was supposed to be a detriment.
I say the same thing. I think if you watch Lamar Jackson last year, what he did in the playoffs last year, he dominated the 7 or 8 games he played going into the playoffs. Everybody was talking about Baltimore being the surprise team that can go to the Super Bowl, and then he walked into the Patriots, and the Patriots demolished them. So don't.
Wait, who?
I mean,
Yeah,
the Chargers. I'm
Chargers.
sorry, the Chargers.
Listen,
The Chargers lost against the Patriots.
I'm all for like hot takes and having your opinion, and that's all great. But how about we just paint everybody with the same brush? If you're going to say, oh, well, Deshaun Watson couldn't win in the playoffs last year, start painting Lamar Jackson with that same brush.
Okay, well, the big difference here is the coaches. Lamar Jackson has a much better coach.
All the same from last year.
You honestly think that the Ravens from last year, when they switched to Lamar Jackson in the middle of the season, you think that team is the same as this team that went on and beat all of the best teams?
With Marty Morningweg as an offensive coordinator versus Greg Roman, who's been good.
Yeah.
Pretty much. The only
You really think that's the same? I don't think you're being
I would say
honest.
I think they're right there.
They're
I mean,
exactly the same team.
yeah.
You want to know what the difference is? Everyone else in their division got worse, and everyone else in the AFC got worse.
he's
There's
right
the
about
difference.
that.
They beat a lot of good teams this year.
Who?
They beat the Seahawks. They beat the 49ers. They beat the Patriots.
Okay, the Seahawks. If I remember, they beat the Seahawks in the second half of the season.
Week 7.
So it was middle of the season. They beat the Seahawks. How bad did they beat the Seahawks? What was the
30 to
score?
16.
30 to 16.
Seattle.
In Seattle. Okay. And the same Seattle team that was better away than they were at home this year, right?
Oddly enough, yes.
Okay, so that's
But we didn't know that at the time, though.
that doesn't matter. The fact is that you have to look at all these ends before you say that, look, it's an end-all, be-all. Well, Lamar Jackson had a great season. Just like you said just a little while ago that Aaron Rodgers didn't have the numbers that Lamar Jackson had this year. If you compare their numbers, they're very similar. Very similar. 26-4.
It's not even just that. You know who had the best season as a quarterback last year that came up short in the playoffs?
Who?
Jared Goff.
He's another one. And
it's just one of these things. Sometimes it's just not going to pan out.
And I think Sean McVay
Lamar Jackson does this year. Last year in the playoffs, he was pretty terrible, wasn't he?
And I think Sean McVay is highly overrated as a head coach. And if they don't make the playoffs next year, he will be fired.
I think the GM would be fired.
I think he'll be fired. I think he'll be fired because they do have a lot of talent on that team.
Yeah, but
They
they
do.
also created the same problem.
You want to talk about a team that has talent that didn't make the playoffs this year? It's them. I don't want to hear about the Cowboys because the Cowboys don't have nearly as much talent as the Rams do.
But that's true to an extent, but the Rams are also kind of like the Texans where they were shuffling around a lot of players and they created a lot more holes. And now they have a lot of bad contracts hindering them right now. Where they're kind of turning into what the Dolphins used to be.
Oh, well.
And that's, I think, I'm more on the GM.
And before we go to a break, Seattle and Philadelphia. By the way, that Clowney hit was a penalty. He should have been thrown out of the game. Because I'm sorry, when you watch that in instant replay, and I watched that 6 or 7 times in instant replay, he didn't even try to maneuver his head away from Carson Wentz. He did not. Carson Wentz went down, head injury. We don't even know what the injury is. It wasn't a concussion. I'm hearing it's a neck injury.
Oh, wow.
I thought they said concussion.
No, I heard it
for
was
concussion protocol.
Yes,
I
heard it was a neck injury.
Well, somebody's got to get in his ear and tell him he's got to start sliding. I mean, what are you doing?
But that doesn't. Well, hold on.
I'm not saying it excuses the hit. I'm just saying why put yourself in that position?
Clowney played a big part in that game.
Huge.
If Clowney was thrown out of the game for that, they might have won. Clowney dominated the line of scrimmage in the third quarter. I don't know if you watched the game. He dominated in the third quarter. Every single time they tried to run the ball up the gut, he was there.
He was dominating against a 40-year-old backup quarterback.
A 40-year-old backup quarterback that played very well with the Jets last year.
Despite an older player,
played very well with the Jets last year.
A good left tackle in Jason Peters. Too.
Yeah, that too.
And this is a guy, Josh McCown. Say whatever you want. The same. He came in the same time, kind of the same way as Nick Foles.
He gave it everything he had, but he's not.
He came in the same way Nick Foles. Did anybody think Nick Foles was going to take it all the way to a Super Bowl championship and win a Super Bowl and outplay Tom Brady?
I think that was a big part in having Frank Reich as the offensive coordinator.
He made the play. Listen, he didn't throw as many yards, but when it came down to the big play at the end of the game, he made more plays than Tom Brady did. So he did outplay Tom Brady.
Which is not true. He folded in the second half, and Brady
No,
made
I
all the
didn't.
plays in the
Listen, I'm not taking shots at Tom Brady. But again, when the game came down to making more plays, he made more plays than Tom Brady.
Blown calls.
Oh, stop. Stop with this, Jeff. I don't want to get back with the
Touchdowns
Patriots.
off the board easily.
All right, I'm not talking about the Patriots right now. I'm talking about this
You're
particular
taking
game.
shots.
No, I'm
You're
not.
taking shots.
No, I'm not. You want me to take shots at the Patriots right now? You don't want me to take shots at the Patriots right now.
Whatever.
Okay.
Still better than the Jets.
They are better than the Jets, and I never. Why?
Easy target.
Why do you target the Jets? Why does everybody target the Jets? I make fun of the Jets all the time. Okay, I don't know why you target my team because I'm saying something about that I thought that he outplayed Tom Brady in the fourth quarter because he did outplay Tom Brady in the fourth quarter. He made more plays than Tom Brady did. That's why they won. He made more plays than Tom Brady. That doesn't mean that he outplayed Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. It means he made more plays when the game was on the line than Tom Brady did.
Frank Reich called a brilliant game. Absolutely brilliant game.
Oh, I'm surprised Frank Reich still has a job. But
Well, his quarterback retired on him before the season
He's done
started.
as good as he could possibly do. What more do you want from that guy?
I agree.
because I think
not a
that
very talented
I think you're
team
going to find another excuse next year when they have another bad season and they're going to fire him anyways. So
What if Brady goes there?
Maybe
Nah.
that's entirely possible, but that's probably 25 teams around the league.
Right. And that team is not very talented.
I still think it makes more sense, even the way Ryan Tannehill has played this year, because I don't think Tennessee is going to pay him what he wants. I can honestly see Tom Brady still going to Tennessee. Vrabel is he's very, very good friend. They're close friends. I think Tom is his godfather of one of his kids. I mean, so
I'm going to just take
can't
Tom
beat him,
Brady's
Jordan.
word for it and
Yeah.
say that he's going to be back in New England.
I'm sorry.
I'm just going to take Tom Brady's word for it that he's going to be back in New England.
We'll see. We don't know, and we're not going to make drastic thoughts and make. I'm not trying to start a rumor. I'm just trying to say that we don't know where Tom Brady is going to go.
Yeah, you've said Titans for 3 months.
Yes, I think it makes a lot of sense to go to the Titans, but we'll see.
I mean, it would make sense. I do think it would make sense.
But again, Seattle and Philadelphia, that game was interesting. And you want to know something? It all came down to Carson Wentz. If Carson Wentz played in that game, I think the Philadelphia Eagles had a very good chance of winning that game.
I mean, and can we give Pete Carroll just a little credit here?
Yes.
They got down to the 5 and gave Marshawn Lynch the ball, and he got in.
Hey.
And you want to know something?
Should there be something to be said for not making the same mistake twice? Can you tip your cap to him?
They're
Adjustments.
playing San Francisco this week, right?
No, they're
No,
playing
Green Bay.
Green Bay.
They're playing Green Bay. And who's San Francisco playing?
Minnesota.
Minnesota, yeah.
I think San Francisco could absolutely lose against Minnesota this week.
I think San
absolutely.
Francisco is going to win the whole thing.
I don't. I think they have they have weaknesses that people don't see in their game. And I don't think their running game is as good as everybody thinks it is.
Minnesota's a good
I
run
mean, but they
defense,
have
too.
a lot of running backs there.
They
so,
do.
I mean,
They
can
do.
switch up.
They do, but so does Minnesota. Minnesota has the most explosive one in that game.
I think
They kind of do, but they don't. I think Dalvin Cook is really hurt.
I don't know about that. He looked pretty
He
good
didn't look
yesterday.
hurt. He didn't
He
look
looked-
hurt.
He looked
He
pretty
looks
damn good yesterday. I'm sorry.
I think
It's a bad injury to have for a running back. That shoulder injury, that's terrible to have.
Yeah, but I still think he looked really damn good yesterday.
The
I'm
Saints
telling
are a nice
you,
run
you
defense.
watch. There's something to Kirk Cousins has to play at 1 o'clock. That's when he performs his best. This game's at 4 o'clock, and they're outside of a dome now. So watch how much that's going to affect this game. Now, I'm not saying that they can't win, but I think it's going to slow them down just
The biggest
enough.
thing for Minnesota is they need their offensive line to at least play average. If they struggle, it's going to be hard because the Niners have that lethal pass rush. But the Vikings have some other matchup advantages with their run defense, with the linebackers they have against Kittle to contain him somewhat and not have him go off for 150 yards like we've seen him do in the past. Kendrick's been really good this year, and so has Harrison Smith as well. So, and the biggest weakness with Minnesota's defense is big plays, but the Niners really don't have big play receivers.
I know, Emmanuel Sanders stinks.
He's not a deep threat.
I'm interested to see. I'm interested to see the games this weekend. I think the NFC.
they're gonna be good.
The NFC games are really exciting to watch. The AFC games,
But are they going to be good? Are they even going to compare to this last weekend?
No, I don't know if it will.
This
But I
last
hope.
weekend was pretty unbelievable for close football.
It
right?
was fun. It was fun to watch. Jeff, thank you for calling, my friend.
Thanks, Robbie Anderson. It's always a pleasure.
You're an idiot.
Thanks, Jeff.
Let's go to a quick break. When we come back, we'll finish up with football. We're going to talk a little basketball and baseball when we come back. 631-300-4477 is the number to call our show here at the Worldwide Sports Radio Network studios. We'll be back after this.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You're listening to Down to the Wire on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
631-300-4477 is the number to call here at the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. We are live every single Monday, Down to the Wire, Tuesday and Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at night. Yes, we are here now for 3 days a week for Down to the Wire, so you'll be able to listen to me and Speedy P and Steve 3 days a week, and Below the Mic will be every Thursday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at night for now on as well. So it's 4 nights a week, and every other Friday I'll be doing Caged Den MMA with Rodney. So I'll be here 5 days a week some weeks. So that's a long week for me, and happy to be here, as you guys know. Remember, you can follow us by going to our website at worldwidesportsradio.com. We were just talking about all the wild card games this weekend. Speedy, what game really stuck out to you out of all the games this weekend?
I think it's the Vikings-Saints, definitely. I think Minnesota proved a lot in terms of, one, again, their coach really doing a nice job. Mike Zimmer, I think you and I both agreed, was kind of on the hot seat this year in terms of him winning and also him growing that defense. Their defense was really good, but they were losing some key games. He did a great job. I think the biggest key was them moving Griffin inside, Danielle Hunter inside, and I think that really changed the game. They rushed in the interior, and Drew Brees had a lot of trouble, and he outcoached Sean Payton in that game. I don't think Sean Payton coached a terrible game, but he definitely didn't coach well in comparison to Mike Zimmer. So I think he did a nice job, and Kirk Cousins getting that big win, Dalvin Cook doing well against a nice run defense, and that offensive line playing pretty good too.
What did you think, Steve? What was the game that stuck out to you this weekend?
I got to go with the first one, the Buffalo against Houston. 2 young quarterbacks going at it head-to-head. Man, I thought Buffalo would have been a team that really scared me if I were – well, who would they have played?
The Chiefs. And I think they would have beaten the Chiefs. So.
Yeah, they had a very good defense. I don't know how they blew that game, man. How do you go up 16-0 and then just completely choke that game away?
Playoff football.
Yeah, no, and the adjustments were made, and the great Deshaun Watson, he put the team on his shoulders and came back and won the game. But Buffalo would have been a team that really scared me because when at this time of the year, it's all about defense and how well you can run the ball. You need to be able to do a little bit of everything, but you really need to be able to run the ball, and they kind of do that through Josh Allen. I don't know. That's a team that I really think could have given the Chiefs or the Ravens a run for their money, but now they're out of it. So.
The game that really stuck out to me was Tennessee and New England. And the reason why is you're seeing the end of a reign. I really do believe that. The New England Patriots are no longer the dominant team that everybody saw them out to be over going into the season this year and throughout the last couple of years.
Certainly feels that way.
And I'm not saying it's over for the Patriots, but slowly but surely you're seeing an aging quarterback and a coach who's 70 years old now, and I think has won more than you'd expected him to win, more than any coach in NFL history, 6 Super Bowls. And it might be the end of a reign. That's what really stuck out to me. And a team like Tennessee, who has played well in the second half, they were one of the hottest teams in the second half and had the hottest running back, the hottest offensive player in football in the second half in Henry. That's what stuck out to me. And a kid like Tannehill that took over for this team after being practically traded to Tennessee in the middle of the season for practically nothing. And he took over for Marcus Mariota, who was a top draft pick, was the second pick, 5 years ago?
Yep.
And now is probably going to be looking for another job, and Tannehill beat him out for that job. That's what stuck out to me, that Ryan Tannehill outplayed Tom Brady in a playoff game. Yes, Ryan Tannehill.
You made it about the quarterbacks, though. I don't know if it was...
I'm not saying that it was all about the quarterback. Who played better, Ryan Tannehill or Tom Brady in that game?
I don't know that Brady played that bad. I just think the team is just not the same around Brady.
Ryan Tannehill wasn't great, but he did look
enough.
more
He did enough. He made the
gifted
one
than Tom
throw he
Brady
had to
did.
make.
I'm trying to get the numbers right now so I could pick up the numbers and I could show the stats on what I thought.
We have a caller. Should I put him on?
Hold on. You could put him on. Hold him up, and I'm going to put him on in a second. I just want to look at the numbers here.
But
Ryan Tannehill he was 8 for 15. He threw for 72 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So they ran the ball. I thought he threw more than. I thought he threw 172.
But he made the one throw that he had to make.
And he converted on third down, too, a lot. I think obviously Derrick Henry did the bulk of it, but when they needed to throw the ball, they needed to do play action, he could make some.
Here's the problem. Tom Brady did throw over 200 yards. He threw 209 yards, but he threw that 1 interception that cost him the game.
Yep.
And he was 20 for 37, which is not efficient for Tom Brady. That's the only thing. Now, again, when it came down, like Speedy said, when it came down to the big play, Tannehill made the big play and Tom Brady didn't.
He also got bit by a drop
and
from
I don't look,
Edelman.
And I don't look at the yards as the end-all, be-all of how a quarterback played in that game. Now, 8 for 15 is not a lot, and they ran the ball a lot.
Right.
And their defense played unbelievable. And their defense was
nice defense.
Yes, they're a very good defensive team. But why don't you put the second caller of the night on our show? Who are we speaking to?
Mr. L. Marks, how are you?
Mr. Beeve, what's going on, my friend?
Nothing. Well, I just heard you guys talking about the games. So, I mean, to me, the game that stuck out the most was the Saints and Vikings because Drew Brees did not look good at all. And, Sean Payton had a bad game as a coach, too.
He got out-coached. He did.
I don't know if he got out-coached. I thought he made some mistakes. I think he made some mistakes in the fourth quarter that cost him the game.
Drew Brees didn't look like himself at all.
No, he didn't.
Yes,
Taysom Hill looked like the better
because of a
Saints
great
quarterback.
coaching adjustment by Zimmer, putting their best pass rushers inside instead of outside against those top tackles.
It's an end of an era for quarterbacks now. I mean, Tom Brady's on his way out. Drew Brees is on his way out. Andrew Luck, who was supposed to be the new age quarterback, retired. I mean, now you have the new guys, the Deshaun Watsons, the Patrick Mahomes, the Russell Wilsons.
We're still holding on to Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers is still an old. He's the end of
like
that old
bridge
quarterback.
between...
And then you have the Sam Darnolds now. You have the Josh Allens.
A lot of young quarterbacks.
The young quarterbacks.
Do you think Drew Brees is going to retire or no?
Yes, I do. I think
wow.
I think we've seen the last of Drew Brees. I do, and we heard that last year because Drew Brees came back this year because they thought they had a chance because of what happened last year. And now losing with the injury.
Let me ask you this. The last call of that game, well, non-call, I should say, Rudolph pushed off.
So what?
Not a flag.
It's not a flag.
Not a flag. It was
You
neutral
don't think it's a
contact.
flag?
I don't think it was
hand-fighting.
enough. I don't think
Right.
it was enough.
The reason why it looked like it to a lot of
his whole
people
arm
is
was
because of the
extended,
size difference of the two players.
His whole arm was extended, so.
So was the corner.
I mean, I don't know.
They were
He pushed
hand-fighting.
off to me, it looked like. He created separation to catch that ball.
I think the best game of the weekend was the Buffalo and Houston game. I think the game that really stood out to me was Tennessee and New England because I think you've seen the end of a reign of the New England Patriots. I don't think you're going to see the dominant New England Patriots again for a very long time. And I don't care what Jeff says. Even if Tom Brady comes back next year, he's not the same quarterback. He's just not. This is not the same team. This is not the same offensive team they had.
Well, there was reports saying that Brady had foot and shoulder problems.
No, they had elbow. He had elbow problems.
Oh, elbow. That's what it was.
Elbow problems. And who's to say he's not going to need Tommy John surgery in the offseason?
Ben Roethlisberger just had it.
Yes. So if he has Ben is younger than Tom Brady. He's about 5 years younger than Tom Brady.
Uh-huh.
If Ben's coming back next year, if Tom Brady has Tommy John surgery, he's not coming back. He's done.
No. Yeah.
He's done. So
you got to keep in mind, though, that going into this year, I mean, obviously they had Gronk retire, but then they thought they were going to have.
What did Gronk do last year? That's what I don't understand with all these fans out there. Gronk, he had a touchdown in the LA Rams game for the Super Bowl. He had one play in the playoffs,
and he became very important in the run game as a blocker.
Blocking, yeah.
Yes.
And he's still a threat. He's still somebody you have, even though he wasn't.
He's still drawing two guys.
Right.
So it creates other.
When was the last time you saw Gronk play a full season of football?
Probably 4 years ago, maybe.
Okay, so Gronk doesn't make a difference for a game or a team.
Well, yes, he does.
Yeah.
He still makes a difference.
You're telling me if Gronk played in that game the other day, they would have won that game?
No. But
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to you.
No,
I'm talking to you.
What I'm saying is that Gronk still will draw two guys toward him.
Really?
So it leaves other receivers to get open easier. Yes.
Yeah.
Gronk plays with that arm safety thing. He can't even fall on his right side of his arm. And he barely could catch the ball at certain aspects of the game last year.
I understand that, but what I'm saying though, he's still drawing guys to him, and he's a good blocker.
He's not the same player.
But he's right. He's absolutely would have helped as a blocker with the offensive line struggling the way it did
and drawing some attention. But the Patriots also went into the season thinking they were going to have Josh Gordon, which didn't work out, and then they tried Antonio Brown, which didn't work out. So all of these things happened to them, and then they never had that much of an offensive line.
Right, but that argument is not as good either because Josh Gordon only played like 3 games, so it wasn't like they were gaining.
Well, he got hurt.
That much. No, he got. He had the mental health issues why he had to step away.
Well, the reign is over.
Well, that happened when he was on Seattle.
The reign is over. Let's not get into the Patriots anymore. Here's the facts here. Tom Brady's career is practically almost over. Bill Belichick is 70 years old, and he's practically done. This team.
The contract, though.
So what?
There's reports that he wants to chase Shula's coaching record.
Well, good for him. That doesn't mean that he's going to stay. That doesn't mean that he wants to stay. Just because
if he wants to break the wins record, then I would think he would want to stay.
Who's to say that he did say that? Who said that? Where did it come out? Do you know that he said it? Because I haven't heard. I didn't hear Bill Belichick say it.
I'm saying I think he's going to stay. That's what I'm saying.
You think that doesn't give you the foregone conclusion that he is?
I'm not saying it's definitely. It's just I think he's going to stay there.
Well, that's your word. He thinks.
Yep. Yes.
You think. Now I think that his reign and Tom Brady's reign is over, and the Patriots' reign is over. The AFC East is young now. You have 2 young, talented quarterbacks in Sam Darnold and Josh Allen now going to run that division. And now you have the Miami Dolphins that are going to draft a quarterback in the first round this year. Could be Tua. The Patriots are going to have to look at that next quarterback that's going to take over. They had it, and they decided to trade it because Tom didn't want him there.
Well, they didn't want to pay him also.
No, Tom didn't want him there. That is the fact. It had nothing to do with money.
Right, but Mike, I don't think any other team would have given Garoppolo the contract that the Niners gave him. He fit there perfectly, so they had to do it.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't want to be a backup either. I would want to start. And,
Garoppolo wasn't getting that money anywhere else.
Garoppolo hasn't proven anything this year. He hasn't proven anything. Why? Because they're winning. Their defense is unbelievable. And ever since they added Bosa, he changed the outreach of that defense.
Got to score points, and he had a pretty good season, though.
He had a good season, but he
made a lot of mistakes in the big game, in the big parts of the games. Go watch the games in the fourth quarter. He could have, if it wasn't for the defense, they would have lost those games. Because Jimmy Garoppolo was protected. Their offensive line played very well this year. Very well this year. He didn't get sacked as much as he should have this year.
That's also the system, too, though.
And they added Emmanuel Sanders in the second half of the season, which helped him a little bit. And they have arguably the best tight end in football. Me and you could throw to, and he can catch the ball. I mean, those are big things. You're talking about Gronk being a big part of the offense. George Kittle is everything to that offense.
Right. Those receivers are not very good, so Kittle has to take up a lot of attention. And the other thing with Garoppolo, too, is I think among all starting quarterbacks that played the majority of the year, I think he was 31st in net yardage per throw at 6.5 yards. He was really a shorter, medium throw guy. And, again, Kyle Shanahan's quick release system is also a big reason he didn't get sacked a lot either. So, he had a good year, but not great.
Well, all I'm saying is you're seeing the end of a reign with the Patriots. Yeah. And I think people are starting to see that. Even Jeff, as much as Jeff don't want to admit it, I think he sees the end-all, be-all to this Patriot team. Now, they could find themselves a quarterback. Tua could fall to the Patriots, or the Patriots can move up and get Tua. Tua misses the whole season. It comes back after next year. Tom Brady comes back, and Tua takes over the reins, and who knows what could happen. Absolutely. True. Absolutely could happen. But do I think that's going to happen? No.
You never know. Belichick might have his eye on somebody that nobody's really talking about. I'm saying, so let me use the Chiefs, for example. Did anybody really think Patrick Mahomes was going to be that good? So, but where were they? Where were they drafting that year? They traded up.
They traded.
To get
they
him.
traded up from 27 to 10.
What was it? 22nd, wasn't it?
No, it was 27. The pick they would have had the next year would have been 22nd. They traded up from 27 to 10 to get him, and the Bills traded back with them and actually got Tre'Davious White with that pick.
So what I'm saying is, I wouldn't put it past Belichick to come up with a creative move to trade up
but the
and
Patriots
get
don't really
somebody.
trade up a lot. They usually trade back.
The chances of you finding another Tom Brady in a draft is slim to none.
I'm not saying Tom Brady,
But again, you don't have Gronk anymore there. You don't have Edelman's on his way out too. He's getting old. Edelman's 31 years old. This team is
He looked old in that game.
this
too.
old.
Dropped a lot
This
of
team
passes.
is getting old offensively. They're older offensively. Defensively, they're still young, but offensively, they're old. This is an old offensive team, and to build an offense again to a youthful, talented offense, it takes years to do that. A lot more years than Bill Belichick has left and Tom Brady has left. And that's why I'm telling you it's the end of a reign with the Patriots. It is. They've done their dominance. They've had their dominance.
Nobody's disagreeing with that. Of course it is, because this happens. When you get older, it reigns in.
Father Time is undefeated.
Yep, 100%.
Now, I do want to, before we go, I do want to get into free agency and rumors of trades right now in the major league and major leagues. And there's a big name right now that I think would be an optional move for the New York Mets. Who, if I were the Mets right now, I would do anything to make this move and try to get him over there with the New York Mets. And it's been said that the Cubs are looking to trade Chris Bryant. Now, this has been a story since the second half of the season last year. Bryant has already said that he wants to be paid $300 million. The Mets have a new... Hold on 1 second before you interrupt me, Beef.
I just laughed.
Well, Bryant right now is, I think, 2 more years to arbitration.
Yep.
2 more years of arbitration, and he wants his contract now. And the Mets, their new owner will be taking over in 5. And I think right now, where the Mets are right now, they're in it to win it right now. They made the move. They brought in Dellin Betances. They paid him $13 million. Overpaid Dellin Betances because they expect to win this year. Cespedes got
that
attacked.
Was a lucky deal, right?
Yes, Cespedes got tacked by a wild boar. Okay, so he's out for the season or something like that, or maybe be out to the second half of the season because he tore his ankle.
His timetable is always unknown.
So, I mean, who's ever been? What player have you ever heard come out and say that he got attacked by a wild boar?
I think that only came out just so that they got the money back with the insurance.
No, he got attacked by a wild boar.
No, I know, but I'm saying so that's why they were able to get the money back because he was doing something he wasn't supposed to.
That's fine, but again, you're.
I don't think that has anything to do with him coming back this year.
I think he's coming back this year.
Yeah.
But again, you're missing. You're going to lose Cespedes for half the season. He broke his ankle. He broke his ankle in 2 different spots. That's not easy to heal, especially a baseball player who's aging.
You know he's going to want to come back and play for another contract, though.
That's fine. But again, you're not going to. They're saying he might not be back until 80 or 90 games in the season. That's a lot. And right now you're hearing Cespedes' contract's coming off the board next year. Why not make a move and go after Chris Bryant? Chris Bryant is arguably one of the top 3 third basemen in baseball right now. He's got the power. He hits for average. He's a leader. And the Cubs want to get rid of him. And the Mets, they might not have the farm system to add Chris Bryant. But you're going to have to give up.
Well, what about trading like Syndergaard?
No, I think the Mets.
No.
What I think the Mets are going to do is they're going to have to move McNeil.
Yeah, I was going to say, what are you going to do with McNeil?
You're going to have to move McNeil, and wait a second. You're going to tell me you wouldn't trade McNeil and 2 other prospects for Chris Bryant? Tell me you're not stupid enough to say no.
No, I wouldn't say no, but I just like McNeil. But
McNeil is nowhere.
I know.
McNeil is nowhere the player Chris Bryant is.
I know. I understand. Yeah.
Chris Bryant is a top 10 player in baseball. Mm-hmm. If you could get Chris Bryant for Jeff McNeil, a couple of pitching prospects, and I don't know, Nemo and somebody else, you wouldn't make the trade?
No, I would.
You definitely would. You wouldn't even think twice. I think the Mets are going to have to bring in another team in a trade to get somebody like a Bryant. It's not going to just be the Mets. They're going to have to add another team involved in this, maybe a Milwaukee or somebody like that, where you can add Chris Bryant. You're only going to get Chris Bryant in the trade, but you're going to have to trade Jeff McNeil. You're probably going to have to trade Nimmo and maybe another player on that roster right now and a prospect or two to get a Chris Bryant. And then another team's going to have to add a condensed full amount of players to even it out.
When would his contract be up, Chris Bryant?
2 years.
2 years.
And Bryant will know that the Mets are going to give him that contract because Bryant is only 26 years old. He's a young player. He's a young power hitter. And this is a guy that would flourish in Citi Field. Flourish. Go look at his numbers in Citi Field. I think he's a career 300 hitter in Citi Field, I think it was. I think he's got like 5 home runs in Citi Field. I mean, Chris Bryant, I'm sorry?
I said it wouldn't surprise me. The Cubs always beat the Mets.
Ballpark to, play in Citi Field.
Right, that makes it more impressive, though.
Yes.
I mean, this is a player that the Mets should absolutely be gunning for. If this is true, if he's really available, and there is a lot of sources saying, I have a bunch of sources right now that are saying Jeff Pazon is saying that it's a foregone conclusion he wants out. There's also a story right now that Nolan Arenado, L.A., the Angels, yes, the Angels and the L.A. Dodgers are interested in him. And I'll tell you this right now. If the Angels get Nolan Arenado with Mike Trout and some of the pitching, I mean, you pitch this year with all the players that are going to be coming, that are going to be healthy this year going into the season, and they're in the division that they're in, that's going to be a scary, scary team in the division.
The Angels have a lot to trade, though, right now, in terms of prospects. They got one number one prospect in baseball, and then it's a big drop-off after that. And the Rockies particularly need pitching. They don't really need outfields.
Well, the rumors are it's the Angels and the Dodgers, and Nolan Arenado has a no-trade clause. So he has to say yes to be traded. So the Dodgers are a team that is very interested in him. I mean, the story right here is that it's not fast, but they're saying that there's a very good chance that could happen. A very good chance. There's also another team, the Rangers, that are very interested in Nolan Arenado.
Yeah, they missed out on Rendon.
There are stories coming out in Texas that first of all, the Rangers have 2 of the top 20 prospects in baseball right now. And Nolan Arenado, who's still a young player, could be on his way to Texas as well. So, I mean, the Red Sox are also another team shopping Mookie Betts. I do believe they're going to trade Mookie Betts before the season starts. That's another player that the Mets should be looking at.
Yeah, they were linked to him. There was rumors about him. About Mets
Again, to get a guy who won an MVP 2 years ago, you're going to have to give up a significant amount.
I think you're going to have to give up more than you would have to give up for Bryant.
Yes, I think you're going to have to give up Syndergaard and McNeil.
I think I would rather have Bryant than Mookie Betts.
You're out of your mind.
No, Mookie Betts is a much better player.
He's a much better player. Mookie Betts
Bryant's also had a really down year in 2018.
Mookie Betts,
semi-down year.
Chris Bryant might be a top 10 player. Mookie Betts is a top 5 player.
Yeah, but he's had 2 down years also. So.
Why not just wait
Mookie
and
Betts
sign him as a free agent?
Had a down year in comparison to his MVP.
Mookie Betts wants to be
still
traded.
Was a very good year.
Mookie Betts wants
to spend money in free agency. That's the problem.
Oh, of course.
Well, eventually the new owner's money is going to kick in.
Yeah, well, he might. Yeah.
Well,
I can only hope.
Well, here's the thing. Noah Syndergaard is going to be up on a contract in a year. Okay?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to sign him.
Well, if you trade Noah Syndergaard, he's going to demand at least close to $200 million for his age. Sure. Especially if he has a good season this year. He's going to demand it. He's going to want $200 million. And somebody's going to give it to him. Because Wheeler got $125 million. And Syndergaard, even though I think Wheeler's a better pitcher, Syndergaard, because he's highly profiled, Syndergaard, if he has anywhere close to 15, 16 wins, he's going to get $200 million or more.
Probably.
So the Mets aren't going to give him that. So you have to look at it. Are you willing to give up Jeff McNeil and Noah Syndergaard for a guy that you're going to pay Mookie Betts close to $300 million? Because you're going to have to give Chris Bryant that too. Chris Bryant's going to want $300 million, and he's going to get it. Somebody's going to give it to him.
It all depends on when the Mets owner is going to take over.
I don't think it makes a difference because now he's involved with the team now. And if he wants to open up his pockets to help the Wilpons get the players that he wants, he'll do that. He's allowed. He's permitted to do that.
Sure.
So it doesn't matter. It's not saying that he can't open his pockets right now and say, here's $150 million. You put $150 million, and we're going to get the player that we want. Mm-hmm. So, and this guy's a multi-billionaire who lives on Long Island, and he swims in money. This guy, I think he's worth $8 billion or something like that, or $9 billion.
At a very high rate, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think money is an object to him.
No, it's not.
It's just a matter of when is it allowed to start kicking in.
Yes, that's
well, again, he's now an owner. He's now what does he own right now? 10, 15% or something
I think
like that?
so, and I think it progresses.
Right.
Yeah,
something like
up
10
until
to
the 5
15%
years.
If he's
each year until he becomes the 80%.
If he's any kind of owner, if he wants to open up his pockets, he's more than welcome to do that. The Wilpons, he could tell the Wilpons, here's $150 million. You put $150 of your own money, and we'll get the player that we want.
If you're the majority owner now, then you should
not yet.
Well, he's not the majority
owner.
5 years.
He's not, but then
5 years.
That's what, I don't know how that's going to play out.
What do you mean play out? He's an owner. He can open up his pockets.
I understand that, but
Wilpons won't have say if he's a majority owner.
Right.
That's the only thing that it doesn't. That's the only thing. The Wilpons have say. That's the only thing.
If you're buying the team, then I should make all the decisions, not you guys.
Well, it depends on what the ownership rate is. It's right now not in his favor at the moment, but it's progressing where I think it'll be 15%.
You Met fans
this year,
it incrementally goes up, right?
You Met fans should be. You Met fans should be very happy that there's a new owner coming to town.
Of course,
should be happy.
And now that the Wilpons finally stepped in, because there were stories coming out with the Wilpon family, is that the two brothers. Now Jeff was running the team. There was another brother. I think it's Brian, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, there's another one?
There's another brother and cousin.
No,
not brother. Cousin or something like that. That were a part of the Mets organization at the time when there was something with who was the Asian player that they brought into the team from Japan? The shortstop.
Kaz Matsui.
Kaz Matsui. Yeah, okay. There was some story that came out that one of the cousins, or that was part of the organization, cousin or brother, if I'm not mistaken, he wanted Kaz Matsui, built a relationship with Kaz Matsui, and Jeff wanted nothing to do with him, and Jeff did everything he could to trade him the way he did, as fast as he did, and it really pissed off the cousin or brother, and it's caused backlash with the organization and the family because of it ever since then. And the family has not gotten along since Jeff has taken over the team. So that's the story I heard. There was some kind of story that came out in Metsville with that.
Here's some breaking news for you right now.
What is it?
New Orleans Saints linebacker coach Mike Nolan will be the Cowboys defensive coordinator.
Oh, it is official now. Okay,
wow.
There was rumors it was coming out earlier, but I guess it's official.
Well, there
now.
it goes.
And you think that's good?
I don't know. Maybe.
We don't know.
It's not good.
We don't know. Mike Nolan was a failed head coach with the Niners, and
I remember
they had a 3-4 defense. Then can the Cowboys really adjust to a 3-4 defense?
I'm telling you right now, and I'm going to say this very nicely to all you Cowboy fans, and I'm sorry, and I don't want to hurt your feelings. Bringing in Mike McCarthy is going to set your team back at least 5 years.
No, it's not.
Yes, it will. You will see.
Because he's going to develop. He's going to develop.
Oh yeah,
into a better
sure he is.
He is.
Sure he is. He doesn't have the team to run his offense.
You watch, buddy.
Mike. You are blind. There is something wrong with you. You are a blind. You're a blind. You are a blind Cowboys fan.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
You'll see. You'll be wrong.
You'll see. You'll see. No, you'll be wrong.
See, buddy.
You'll be wrong.
Not me.
No, not you? Okay.
Not me.
Okay.
Yeah, he who said Dak Prescott's going to win 3 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
In his career, I said.
All right.
Dak's
I parody NFC. Good luck.
Dak will, and I'll tell you this, Dak will never win a Super Bowl with the Cowboys. Ever.
Yes, he will.
Ever.
He will.
Remember I said that. Ever.
Remember what I said. So.
Okay, I'm remembering it,
We
and
write
I'm
these-
gonna
we'll
I'm
write
gonna
all this
remember it.
down.
I'm gonna remember it when he retires, and I say, "Where's his Super Bowls?"
He'll have it. You watch.
No, you watch because they don't
I
have the
will watch
players.
it.
They don't have
I'm
the
watching them-
they don't have the
I'm watching
players.
Trophy, buddy.
They don't have the players.
Okay.
Do you really
Whatever you
think?
say.
Do you really think Jerry Jones is going to give a leash like he gave to Garrett to Mike McCarthy if he doesn't start to win in the next 2 years? They're going to fire him. They're not keeping him. And I'm telling you right now, there will be backlash between him and Mike McCarthy, Jerry Jones and Mike McCarthy, one way or another in the next 2 years. One way or another.
No,
Because
he'll be there longer than 2 years.
I think he's not going to last 4 years. I don't think he's lasting 4 years. I don't.
he will.
He's not lasting that 5-year contract. I guarantee it.
Mike, I think I agree with you where he probably will, but there's always a chance that Jerry Jones's stinginess and his relationship with past coaches could be a wild card. We don't know how this altercation went out to get McCarthy the job, so it's very possible that they could have issues. Jerry Jones hung on to Jason Garrett for how long? For weird reasons, and let go of Jimmy Johnson for weird reasons. So it's always
Jerry
possible.
Jones thought of him as a son or something. Or
I know
whatever.
that. No, I know that. But he let go of Jimmy Johnson for weird reasons.
Hold on.
and kept Jason Garrett for
So
weird reasons.
let me ask you a question. So he loved him like a son, but
Probably.
the guy had 16 more wins than losses. His numbers show that he's a top 100 coach of our era, but that was the only reason why I kept him, because he looked at him as a son. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yep.
You're on drugs. Thank you, Mike, for
Jason
calling the
Garrett,
show.
He stinks as a coach.
Wow,
But
okay.
you got
Oh,
it.
we'll see. We'll see. We'll see if he
You'll
stinks.
see.
He'll go to another
We'll
team
see.
and he'll win. He'll win.
Yeah, okay.
He'll
I'll
win.
put money on that. He won't win.
All right. I never said he will win a Super Bowl. You think Mike McCarthy is going to win a Super Bowl? You're out of your
will.
damn mind. Not with that team. Not with the way that team is built right now. There's no way in hell. They're going to have to practice, and they're going to have to overpay Dak Prescott. I don't even want to talk anymore. I've already.
They're probably going to overpay Prescott. Yes.
And how are they going to pay for the weaknesses that they have on that defense if they can overpay
see.
Dak Prescott?
We'll see.
Oh yeah, we will see. You're on drugs. That's what you are. And whatever
Right,
you're
right.
taking, man, you got to keep drinking those 12 or 13 beers a day, man. Because
Get out. I don't drink 12 years. Get out of here. Hey, idiot.
thanks, Mike.
You got it, man. Talk to you later.
The Beef, a.k.a. Mike from Bayshore. Interesting, as always. A Cowboy fan that is lost. He really is. I mean, I don't know what the hell he's drinking, man. I mean,
where he's going to pay for all these guys.
I mean, where is he going to find, first of all, a safety that you're going to pay $10 million to? I mean, the safeties, the top safeties right now that are Jamal Adams is going to be probably requesting $20 million a year.
I don't think they'll end up getting one of that caliber. They just need a solid starting safety. I don't think they're going to get.
And who's going to be available? That you're going to who's available? That you're going to short come
What
and
if they
pay
revisit
a Weddle,
that trade?
and Eric Weddle, who's like 80 years old.
I think Eric Weddle's still under contract.
I'm just saying. I'm just giving you a name, Eric Weddle, because they're not getting any of these young safeties. And by the way, as much as you think, oh, well, they got draft picks, who have they drafted in the last couple of years that are any good? Besides Martin and Dak Prescott and Zeke, but those guys are no-brainers.
Yeah, if they want, there's the only safety that's a pretty big name is Devin McCourty, but he's 33 years old. The other one that's kind of good, but we'll see if he'll fit with Dallas, is Carl Joseph, but that's really it.
Carl Joseph is going to want a lot of money. He's going to demand a lot of money because he's still
He's 26 years old.
Yeah, he's a decently young player. Mm-hmm. He's going to get it. He's going to get his $60 million. The Cowboys can't afford him. They're not paying him. And they have no corners. They're not going to be able to bring Jones back, even though he had a bad season, because he's going to be demanding, even with a bad season, a significant amount of money. And he's a corner. Corners don't grow on trees.
Right.
You got to see what their roster looks like after the offseason and the draft, though, because
Right,
you don't know that this is what the roster is
If
going to be.
they don't pay Byron Jones, you're also making now Awuzie the one, who's not a one. He's not even a high end of 2. He's an average 2. Yeah, Jordan Lewis is a 3, now moving to a 2. So that with a position with multiple players
Doesn't
like
make
that,
sense.
You're really shuffling everything around. If you pay Byron Jones, okay, we'll see how the other guys develop. But Byron Jones is a number one corner. The other guys are far from
What
it.
is Mike McCarthy's strength? He's an offensive coordinator. I'm going to help you out. His strength is offense, okay?
Okay, well, yeah.
All
we
right,
know
so
that.
you didn't know that because I asked you, what is his strength? You sat there for 5 seconds, not answering.
That's an obvious one. I mean, he's
All right,
coaching,
so what
he's
is his
coaching
strength?
Aaron Rodgers.
All right, what is his strength?
Offense.
Okay, so you just answered the question. It took you 5 seconds, but you answered the question.
I
Now,
thought you wanted a little more of an in-depth
No, I want to know what his
response
strength is. What was there, and what was the Cowboys' weakness all the way throughout the games until the fourth quarter this year?
to that. Defense.
Their offense. Their offense was the problem.
Their offense was pretty good this year.
Really,
Yeah.
in the fourth quarter when the game was over. Go look at how they scored all their points this year. Go look at the yards per catch. How many yards per catch they caught in the fourth quarter and throughout the game.
I think their biggest issue was getting away from their identity, which is running the ball through Zeke Elliott and their offensive line. They tried to force the fact that, we're going to make Dak Prescott this throwing quarterback.
How about Zeke wasn't as explosive as he was the last couple of years because he missed the OTAs?
Yeah, but okay, I'll give you that. But they stopped using him the way that they did in previous years. Yeah.
Because he still ran 1,100 yards.
And look what happened in the one game where they really rode him against the Rams.
Okay.
He ran all over them.
Okay, the Rams' defense, their front seven was not good all season long, stopping the run. That's why he ran all over them.
I'm saying
the Rams' front seven couldn't stop Speedy as a running back. Okay, that's how bad it was all season long. They're a great pass rushing team. They couldn't stop the run. That's why they had problems all season long against teams that were running the ball very well against them.
The Cowboys got away from what they did best.
Right, but also you have to realize, too, a lot of people were complaining that the Cowboys were too one-dimensional and only could run the ball. So they tried some other things in different games, game planning-wise.
That's what I'm saying. I think that was to their detriment.
To an extent, maybe, but I mean, at the same time, you have to become a more well-rounded team at some point. You're not going to win in this league being one-dimensional.
Listen, Plummer, I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you this right now. The Cowboy fans, remember I said this, keep the date, mark the date, because I'm going to cut this.
Hot take of 2020.
2020. This is
Write this down.
This is January what? 3rd?
January 6th, 2020.
All right.
This will be Arrow's first hot take
February.
of the new year and new decade.
In 4 years, Cowboy fans are going to go backtrack, and they're going to say, why did we hire Mike McCarthy? Remember I said that. Because I believe Mike McCarthy is not the answer to this team and this offense right now. He's not. And it will come back, and it will haunt the Cowboys. It will set the Cowboys back 5 years bringing Mike McCarthy in. Not because I don't think Mike McCarthy is a good coach, because he does not fit Jerry Jones.
He'll have to adjust.
And he does not fit this particular team the way it's constructed. So remember I said that, fans. All you Cowboy fans out there that think that Mike McCarthy is a sure thing, boy, oh boy, you guys are going to be very, very surprised.
Well, who's to say they don't adjust the roster to his...
It takes a long...
They could do that, but again...
Well, hold on one second.
But again, the money's
There's
still gonna be
$80 million. You got to pay Dak $30, okay? Then you got to pay Amari Cooper if you're going to keep Amari Cooper.
I'm not convinced that they're paying Dak.
Oh, they are.
But it's
That's
not,
just me. I'm not convinced that they're paying him.
It's less about talent, too, and more about player types. He's going to have to really adjust the different player types.
Who are they going to put?
Green Bay.
Who are they going to put over there if Dak's not there?
There are options. I don't know what they would want to do.
Marcus
I don't know.
Mariota?
I'm not in there.
You want Marcus Mariota over Dak Prescott?
Mariota, Winston, maybe Tom Brady. I don't know. Maybe they like somebody in the draft.
I will tell you
that's possible.
I will tell you this right now. Dak Prescott will be the starting quarterback, and that's another take you could take in 2020. Dak Prescott will be starting for Mike McCarthy.
Well, why wouldn't they have paid him
really
already, though? Like, why didn't they had a chance to pay him?
Because he was demanding $35 million.
Exactly, and they haven't given it to him.
No, but they are
because
now.
it's unrealistic.
But now they will give him $30-something million because that's the end-all, be-all for quarterbacks. So he will
That's
get
the seal of approval for Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, he's getting $30 million. Now, I don't know if it's 35, but he's going to get 30. And they're going to give Amari Cooper because he is their best option offensively.
I
Besides
agree
Zeke.
that if they do pay Dak that money, that it's going to hamstring them. But I'm not 100% convinced that they do.
Speedy, you remember this take because when
right.
the take comes in,
round 2 of
yes,
your hot takes
yes.
of 2020, new decade, new takes.
When it comes out that Dak Prescott signed a big contract worth about $30 million a year, I'm going to come back to this guy right over here and say, you weren't sure about Dak Prescott signing with the Cowboys? Well, you were wrong. Because I'm telling you right now, the only way...
All I'm saying is I'm not 100%
The
sold.
only way McCarthy was going to get this job is if he agreed that Dak Prescott was his quarterback. And that, my friend, is a fact. And I'm telling you right now...
Where do you see that?
I'm just telling you what I know. I'm telling you what I know. I don't have to see it.
If it's a fact...
It's a fact. It's my fact. It's my fact. And it's going to come to absolute factual thoughts after this. No, listen. Jerry Jones would not have brought in Mike McCarthy if he wasn't thinking about keeping Dak Prescott.
But he still hasn't paid Dak Prescott.
First of all, you
Right
can't
now.
you can't pay the player until July 4th.
No, I'm saying they didn't extend him. They could have extended
No,
him.
he didn't want an extension. He wants a long. Didn't you hear what he said last year with the Tom Brady? Tom Brady. He said Tom Brady has the richest wife in all of sports. And he's taking like $19-20 million a year, and even the Patriots paid him $22 million. He says, "I want a hell of a lot more than the Patriots are paying Tom Brady, meaning that I'm 23 years old, and I have proven myself as a quarterback in this league."
Has he?
Yes, he has. Yes, he has.
How?
Go look at his record as a starting quarterback in this league. Go look at the team that everybody says how so much talent he has. It's so funny when I listen to Matty Caps and he says how talented the Cowboys are. Where?
Their talent is above average. I wouldn't call it elite.
They're above average? I would say they're mediocre at best. I mean, their offensive line, they're getting old. They have a great guard in Martin, an elite guard in Martin. They have Amari Cooper, who's not a first string, not a number one. He's a number 2.
I wouldn't say that.
I would. Zeke is
this
a
year,
run.
I think he improved a lot.
Zeke Elliott is a great running back, but again, he doesn't fit this offense.
How long has
they don't have a tight end.
This is Dak's
they have an
third
old
year?
man in Jason Witten. Okay, they have no secondary wide receiver. And I don't want to hear Michael Gallup because Michael Gallup played one season this year. He had a decent season, and he disappeared in a lot of the big games where they needed him. So I don't want to hear Michael Gallup.
Gallup is one of the guys, though, I think McCarthy could definitely help because he's similar type of receiver to what
We'll
they
see.
had in Green Bay.
We'll see. It's all about accuracy with Dak Prescott. And, again, his game and his offense predicates on accuracy, and I don't know if Dak has it.
Right.
So these are all problems that the Cowboys and Mike McCarthy are going to have to figure out in the offseason, and they don't have the money to do it. They don't have the money to do it. They cannot pay all these players. So let's say they decide not to go with Dak, which I don't believe they will let go. They will not let go of Dak Prescott because he's the heart and soul of that team right now. He is. He's the leader of that team. If they decide to get rid of Dak Prescott, where are they going as a quarterback? First of all, let's say you get another Marcus Mariota or Jameis Winston. How long is it going to take those guys to figure out his offense? It's going to take a whole season.
If you're a good coach, you can get somebody to figure out your offense. I mean, it didn't take
Aaron Rodgers.
Jameis Winston just got coached by Bruce Arians, one of the best offensive coaches in the league, and still threw 30 interceptions.
Out of 5,000 yards.
Andy Reid took Alex Smith in and got the most out of Alex Smith.
No, actually, Jim Harbaugh, it changed Alex Smith's career. Jim Harbaugh completely transitioned.
Alex Smith got outplayed by Kaepernick and pushed out of San Francisco.
First of all,
Andy Reid took him in and made him a legitimate
First of all, Jim
quarterback.
Harbaugh drafted Kaepernick. So he was going to start the quarterback that he was going to draft. He drafted him in the 3rd round, right? Kaepernick was drafted in the 3rd round. Second or third round. He was drafted in one of those rounds. He was going to be
And look what happened in Tennessee this year with Tannehill.
Look what happened. He had one good season.
But that's the point. You were saying in one season, can that be done?
Alex Smith didn't do it in one season with Jim Harbaugh. He did it for 3
No.
seasons.
I'm saying Andy Reid.
What do you mean, Andy Reid? What are you talking about?
When Andy Reid got a hold of Alex Smith, he made him a good quarterback.
That's true. He made a pretty big leap from where he was, but I think the bigger leap.
How did he make a bigger leap? A big leap. He was in the playoffs every year with Jim Harbaugh,
I think
and he was in
I
think he was in the AFC title game, if I'm not mistaken. The NFC title game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, as a winner, yes. I'm talking. I think he's referring.
He
to
never
statistics.
won with Andy Reid. He never even got out of the first round with Andy Reid.
But they had very good seasons with him, and he had much better numbers with Andy Reid.
He never won a championship with Andy Reid. He had a better chance of winning a championship with Jim Harbaugh than he did with Andy Reid. And he was in a harder division. He was in a harder league with Jim Harbaugh.
He also had more offensive talent on the Niners.
That's not the point. The point is he played in a harder league, in a harder division, and he played. And to me, you can honestly tell me it was Andy Reid that changed Alex Smith's career. He didn't. Alex Smith was a good quarterback when he went to Kansas City because Jim Harbaugh changed his career when he took over that team.
I think Andy Reid took him and made him better, though.
2013 was the first season. That was his first season with the Chiefs where he threw over 20 touchdowns in a season.
What does that mean? That doesn't. So wait a second. He has to throw a lot of touchdowns to have a good season?
I would imagine 20 touchdowns is a pinnacle for a good season for a quarterback.
Really? Because we could look at teams and quarterbacks over the years that had good seasons, but because of their running game and because they were a running team, because I do remember with Frank Gore running the ball with that team, that was a running team.
And
so
Charles
Alex
a running team.
Smith was a running quarterback. That's what he was good at. So they used his strengths, just like Kaepernick, to their ability. So Frank Gore and that San Francisco team was a running team, not a throwing team.
Well, so was Jamal Charles in Kansas City.
What do you mean, Jamal Charles in Kansas City?
Jamal Charles was the only guy really on that offense. They were a running team, too.
Okay.
The Niners had Michael Crabtree, Anquan Bolden, Vernon Davis. The Chiefs receivers were nothing.
Okay, and what does that have anything to do with what Alex Smith did with the team just because he had good players around him? Alex Smith had to make the plays when he needed to make the plays to get him into the NFC title game.
No, sure. I'm not saying he didn't have a great game against the Saints when he did that, and the second game was Green Bay. Oh, no, Kaepernick played that one.
Andy Reid did not change Alex Smith's career. Alex Smith was changed when Jim Harbaugh took over. That's why Andy
Speedy was just getting into how it changed.
I disagree with Speedy. I don't agree with Speedy.
Now, Errol, you're right in the sense where I think he made a bigger leap from what he was from whatever coaches they had before that to Harbaugh. But his best statistical seasons, and again, especially with lesser receiving talent, was with Andy Reid in Kansas City.
All I'm saying is that it could be a quicker transition. You can get a lot out of a guy in 1 year, but I think we were talking about McCarthy. I don't think he has to have somebody instantly come in and do well. I think he has a little more leeway than just 1 year.
No, you're right.
Course.
He's got 3 years.
So what I'm saying
is, if they don't win in 3 years, he's out. They don't win a Super Bowl in 3 years, he's out.
I actually fundamentally agree with you that the Cowboys can't pay all of these guys and be successful. That's why I'm saying I don't think they end up paying all of these guys.
The Cowboys aren't going to be successful, even with Mike McCarthy, and even if they bring
back all their guys. But I don't know what his
guys.
vision is yet. I don't know what the roster is going to look like.
They're going to maneuver their offense and try to build that offense. He doesn't care about defense. Go look at his defenses with the Green Bay Packers. They were terrible. They're horrific. One of the worst. If you look at their defenses over the years, they're one of the worst.
Later in his career, he had a good defense when he came.
Yeah, because he took over the defense that Holmgren left him.
Right, I know. I'm just saying.
Speedy, please. I know what you're saying, but you're wrong. He does not know how to build a defense. And their defense right now in their secondary.
He's not brought in to build a defense, though.
Okay, he's there to build an offense. And
but they still need other defensive pieces.
And how do you expect him to build an offense right now when they don't have enough wide receivers to go around in his West Coast offense, and his running back, who is his best player, doesn't fit his style of game? How?
We'll see about that, though. I don't know.
We will.
Well, that's it. We'll see.
I don't know if it's as much as it is utilization, because Mike McCarthy's offense is still very pass happy.
It doesn't fit. So
we'll see.
We'll see what happens. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for our show. We'll be back tomorrow from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. here at the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Here at Cafe Rays. Remember, you can call us at 631-300-4477. I hate this new change. These numbers keep changing. It's so annoying. It really is really
annoying.
It's
a pretty easy, straightforward number.
Yeah, but
you just got to get used to it.
We're actually changing that number because I'm bringing in a digital system. So it's going to be different. So we can answer the 3 or 4 calls at the same time.
Our temporary phone number for a month.
I like that.
So it's a lot of stuff. But anyways. That's it for our show, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back tomorrow. Me, Speedy Petey, and Steve the Plumber. Until then, this is Errol Marks, Speedy Petey, and Steve the Plumber saying good night. We'll talk to you then. Good night, everybody.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.